Chapter 1469, Superpower Observation. Not everyone had an easy journey to reach this place, so Xiao Yinduan should not hinder people from making a modest living. However, despite the abundance of resources, the path ahead was far from easy. In many areas, they had to clear a path with machetes, slowing down their progress considerably. The silver lining was that most of the terrain was relatively flat. Even with occasional small elevations, carriages could pass through, albeit with some extra effort. Considering all these factors, this relatively short journey would take a full day to complete smoothly. Everyone was experienced and determined to exit the Black Tiger Forest before sunset. By noon, the group took a break to consume their meager rations and have a few sips of water. Everything continued to progress safely and without incident. Qiao Xian activated her superpower to scan the surroundings, and soon, she detected a group lying in ambush on a rocky slope about 6 or 7 miles away. Qiao Xian's heart skipped a beat. She estimated there were around 40 to 50 people dressed in dark green attire with their legs bound. They appeared fierce and well-prepared. Although they seemed like mountain bandits, their discipline during the ambush was uncanny. No one made a sound, and their actions were controlled. These were not the typical unruly mountain bandits. Even if they were not directly affiliated with the fourth prince, they had some connection to him. Since she didn't pick up any immediate threats, Qiao Xian retracted her power. Using her superpower for information gathering was her most potent ability, but it drained her quickly. With a potential fight looming, she needed to conserve her energy for the right moment, so she couldn't afford to waste it. The team continued to make their way forward, maintaining a deliberately slow pace dictated by the challenging road conditions that hindered rapid progress. Gradually, they reached a rocky slope. The slope was strewn with rugged boulders, and its inclines on both sides were notably steeper than elsewhere. The team planned to traverse the middle path, which extended for about 4 to 5 kilometers. The same wild grass and vines covered the route, forcing them to clear it by removing grass, leaves, vines, and obstacles to ensure the carriages could pass through. As they approached the ambush site, approximately 300 meters away, Qiao Xian activated her unique ability. The tree roots at the top of the slope suddenly swelled, pushing out large rocks that broke free from the ground and tumbled down the slope. Simultaneously, she shook the branches and leaves violently, startling the birds resting on them, causing them to take flight in a cacophonous flurry of wings and cries. The sudden commotion naturally alarmed the intermediate team. Sun Bai promptly raised his hand, and the entire group came to an immediate halt. "Stay vigilant, everyone. Form up and shield Lord and Lady," he commanded. Their response was well practiced, having rehearsed many times for potential danger. Though the situation was tense, the guards swiftly established a protective formation from the outset. The remaining followers quickly regained their composure. Carriage drivers worked with a few others to safeguard the horses, gripping the reins securely and covering the animals' ears to prevent them from panicking and bolting. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1470, This unlucky. The rest of the group swiftly huddled together, using the carriages as cover. The guards unsheathed their weapons, forming a disciplined defensive formation. The ambushers, dozens in number, cursed their ill luck. What kind of fortune was this? A successful ambush should have capitalized on catching their prey unawares. But now, due to this series of movements and commotions, even if the other party hadn't detected them, they must be on high alert, rendering the element of surprise obsolete. Attack! One can only imagine the shock and frustration coursing through the leader's veins. With a resounding battle cry, he brandished his gleaming machete and led the charge. The others, similarly aggrieved and incensed, joined the chorus of war cries, drawing their weapons and charging forward. Charge! Take them down! Engage! Qiao Xian once again activated her superpower, causing a few of the attackers to stumble carelessly, tripping over stones or vines in their rush, letting out cries as they tumbled forward. Some fared even worse, colliding with rocks, nearly shattering their knees, tears streaming from the pain. Onlookers, the brothers included, halted in their tracks, bewildered by the scene that unfolded. Wasn't this a bit too clumsy? How could they be so careless? It seemed like an ill omen. The assailants grew even more impatient and enraged. As they charged forth, impatience colored their approach. When Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their comrades witnessed this formidable horde charging like a pack of wolves and tigers, bellowing and eager for combat, they remained resolute, though not particularly surprised. As they navigated the Black Tiger Forest, their senses remained keen, anticipating that something might occur within its shadowy depths. Now, with the impending threat finally manifesting, they were not only shocked but also felt a sense of readiness. Upon witnessing the charging adversaries, Sun Bei's lips curled into a cold smile, and he bellowed, "Prepare to engage." Leading the guards, he lunged forward to confront their opponents. Xiao Yinduan and Xiao Xian occupied separate carriages, necessitating that Sun Bai and the others relay information to him, rendering Xiao Xian's presence potentially inconvenient. Xiao Yinduan disembarked from the wagon and approached Xiao Xian's carriage. "My love, fear not. The assailants are not numerous. I believe Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their team can handle them." Zhe, without engaging the enemy directly, stood guard at Xiao Xian's carriage alongside 7 or 8 other guards, keenly observing the unfolding battle. Xiao Xian, struggling to complete her task due to her dwindling energy, displayed a pale countenance when Xiao Yunduan approached. Misinterpreting her demeanor as fear, he sought to console her. Observing the battle and noticing Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and their comrades effectively holding their ground, Xiao Xian withdrew her power, mustering a forced smile in Xiao Yunduan's embrace. "I'm not frightened. I trust Guard Sunday. Please don't worry, my dear." Xiao Yunduan whispered, "I'm here for you." Xiao Xian smiled, gradually regaining her composure. The skirmish continued for about half an hour. Evidently, the assailants were aware of Xiao Yunduan's location and attempted to approach the carriage, but were thwarted by the staunch resistance from Sun Qian and his team. Observing that while the guards grew bolder in their defense, they also incurred significant casualties, the leaders sounded a whistle. In the blink of an eye, the assailants dispersed, vanishing from the scene. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1471, Ill-Intentioned Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the rest led the effort to clean up the aftermath, tending to the wounded and providing necessary first aid. The ordinary followers, although visibly shaken, staggered forward to offer their assistance. Their limbs trembled, and many could scarcely move due to exhaustion. None of the attackers survived the encounter. Sun Bai and Sun Qian felt a sense of remorse but recognized the necessity of their actions. Afterward, they invited Xiao Yunduan to a quiet spot. "Lord, those people, despite their disguises as mountain bandits and their concealed identities, are certainly not typical mountain bandits. Genuine mountain bandits lack the coordination and training we just witnessed. These individuals possess highly disciplined skills, suggesting systematic and prolonged training. It's unlikely that common mountain bandits could achieve this level of proficiency. I suspect their background, there was a significant likelihood, around 80% to 90%, that they were dispatched by one of the princes, with the 4th prince being the prime suspect. However, lacking concrete evidence, Sun Bai refrained from making baseless accusations." Xiao Yunduan nodded and replied thoughtfully, "I anticipated this would occur, and their presence reassures me. Nevertheless, I have a strong sense they won't give up easily. We must remain vigilant. Instruct them to maintain heightened patrols and to report any suspicious activity to me immediately." "Understood, my lord." Sun Bai and Sun Qian nodded gravely, sharing Xiao Yunduan's sentiments. This was merely the beginning, not the conclusion. Each of the princes harbored deep-seated animosities against the crown prince, and the opportunity to undermine his standing was too tempting to resist. Whether it was solely the 4th prince or if other princes were involved remained unclear. As the crown prince, Xiao Yunduan was under constant scrutiny. He was cautious with his words and actions, refraining from making confrontational statements against his brothers to avoid tarnishing his reputation. This cautious approach allowed his siblings to accrue more power over time. Their organization boasted a substantial number of individuals under their command. Having already initiated action, they couldn't simply abandon their efforts. It was evident, though, that after the considerable delay, they wouldn't be able to exit the Black Pine Forest before nightfall, which further heightened everyone's anxiety. Xiao Yunduan remained unperturbed, calmly suggesting, "We might as well limit our travels for the day. Once we cross this rocky slope, we can find a suitable spot to spend the night. With our large group, we need to be cautious." In a way, the forest's intricate environment serves as a form of protection for us. Witnessing his composed demeanor, the group found some solace and concurred with his decision. Xiao Yunduan boarded Xiao Xian's carriage and transferred Li Xia and 2 others to his own. His wife had likely been quite alarmed and needed his presence for comfort. Drawing the curtain, the carriage started to move at a leisurely pace. Xiao Yunduan took Xiao Xian into his arms, sitting her on his lap, gently reassuring her. Xiao Xian's heart warmed with a mixture of emotions, leaving her uncertain whether to laugh or cry. Nevertheless, she felt a sense of pride within herself, understanding the importance of demonstrating her courage and composure to her husband. Xiao Yunduan, seeing her unshaken demeanor, found immense relief. Throughout the journey, everyone remained on high alert and eventually traversed the rocky slope. After covering less than 3 miles, they halted and set up camp. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1472, Wolf Pack. The scout relayed that they were still about 16 to 17 miles away from the Black Tiger Forest, a distance that would require at least half a day of walking. Upon careful consideration, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others selected a location within the woods to set up an overnight camp. They diligently cleared the area of underbrush, securing the horses to tree trunks and forming a protective ring with the carriages on the outer perimeter. They organized 4 rotating groups, each consisting of 36 individuals, to take turns patrolling during the night. The rest of the group were instructed to remain in their armor and not to remove it, maintaining a state of perpetual vigilance. As the sun slowly dipped below the western horizon, the evening glow faded, plunging the forest into deep darkness. The towering trees, rocks, and their shadowy silhouettes took on an eerie quality, exacerbated by sporadic sounds of flapping wings and eerie calls from birds, causing shivers down their spines. Their superior numbers provided some reassurance because if only a few individuals were to remain alone in this forest at night, the fear might have been paralyzing. To combat the darkness, they lit 3 large bonfires to illuminate the area. The night watchmen were responsible for ensuring the fires remained ablaze. In the moonless and pitch-black forest, the night offered no lunar illumination, making it an exceptionally dim night. On this particular night, Xiao Xian refrained from using her power to survey the surroundings. Her powers consumed significantly more energy during the night compared to daylight hours. Furthermore, she believed that the assailants would not return so promptly after their initial encounter. If they did, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others had taken thorough precautions, leaving little room for concern. As anticipated, the night passed without any disturbances from the attackers, but they faced a different threat, a pack of wolves. Over 100 adult gray wolves, howling in the middle of the night, aggressively descended upon their camp. It seemed as though the wolves cared not for their own lives, driven by an insatiable aggression. A sudden sense of alarm rippled through the camp, instantly thrusting everyone into a heightened state of vigilance. Xiao Xian swiftly employed her superpower to assess the situation, and thankfully, she detected only a pack of wolves with no human presence trailing them. These wolves exhibited highly unusual behavior, suggesting they might have been drugged with some sort of stimulant. Their ferocious howls and reckless charges threw the camp's guards into disarray, and several of them sustained bites. Under the coordinated command of Sun Bai and Sun Qian, the group eventually repelled the wolf pack after approximately an hour of intense combat. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the camp. They ignited torches to survey the scene and treat the wounded. Numerous ordinary followers were deeply shaken, huddled together in pairs or trios, consoling one another through sobs and discussions. Among the distressed individuals, one woman's screams and cries pierced the night, distinguishing her from the rest. While others cried quietly, she wept with such intensity that she seemed on the brink of screaming to the heavens. This woman was none other than Xiao Wei. During this tumultuous moment, Xiao Yunduan had gone to confer with Sun Bai and Sun Xian. Xiao Xian took it upon herself to console the frightened individuals, assess injuries, and instruct Li Xia and Li Qiu to prepare the necessary medicines. Upon hearing Xiao Wei's anguished cries, Xiao Xian furrowed her brow and summoned Mian Mian, saying, "Let's go see what's happening." Mian Mian acknowledged the command, and Yi swiftly trailed behind. When they arrived at the scene, a crowd had gathered around Xiao Wei. As Xiao Xian approached, the crowd dispersed, making way for her. "Madam Xiao. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1473. Xiao Wei injured. Xiao Xian nodded and directed her gaze towards Xiao Wei, who clutched her injured calf. "What happened?" Xiao Wei shot her an angry glare and retorted icily, "Can't you see for yourself? I'm injured." Xiao Xian gave an incredulous glance to those present. "You may leave now, lend your assistance wherever necessary, and retire to rest once you're finished. We still have a morning journey ahead of us." Initially, no one harbored a fondness for Xiao Wei, but upon hearing this, they concurred and dispersed, leaving only Qiu He behind. Xiao Wei seethed with anger, casting a hateful glare in Xiao Xian's direction. Xiao Xian sneered, "Why are you staring at me? Return to your tent if you have the time. You're not the sole person injured, and yet, you're the only one making a scene. Miss Xiao, are you concerned that others might not notice your fine singing voice?" Xiao Wei's face flushed with anger, and she snapped, "I was bitten by a wolf on my leg. I was bitten by a wolf. Observe it for yourself." The wolf's bite had nearly frightened her to death, and her leg had bled profusely. At the time, she believed she might face death or be left with a permanent injury. Fortunately, the two guards managed to eliminate the wolf in time. Despite this, the wound on her leg remained substantial, causing excruciating pain that left her incapable of withholding her cries. Xiao Xian was taken aback and shifted her gaze to Xiao Wei's leg. She observed the blood staining her dress. The darkness of the night obscured the wound, which Xiao Xian wouldn't have noticed without Xiao Wei's remark. Xiao Wei's sobbing grew louder. Xiao Xian cast a stern look at Qiu He and spoke coldly, "Your mistress is injured, yet you stand here motionless? How callous. In that case, you needn't serve her any longer. Leave." "Madam Xiao, what, am I not entitled to give you orders?" "Xiao Xian, do not overstep your bounds." Xiao Wei rebuked angrily. "He is my servant, and you have no right to shout at him." "I can't give her orders." "So what?" Xiao Xian scoffed and turned to Yi. "Take her away and teach her a lesson." "Yes, madam." Yi, who consistently followed Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan's directives, promptly led Qiu He away. Miss. Enough." Xiao Xian delivered a resounding slap to Qiu He's face, her voice sharp. "What's the matter? Can't I issue commands to you? You're nothing more than a servant. From where did you acquire such impertinence? How dare you look down on me? By what right? Do you think I will tolerate it?" Qiu He, covering her stinging cheek, felt an overwhelming mix of humiliation and anger. She lowered her head and refrained from making any further noise. With no alternative, she bowed her head because she served Xiao Wei. Xiao Xian was prepared to scold her and even strike her, leaving her with no room to resist. Xiao Wei stood in stunned silence, quivering with rage. Were it not for her excruciating leg pain rendering her immobile, she would have risen to confront Xiao Xian in a brawl. No one treated others in such a degrading manner. What's the meaning of this? In merely providing your insubordinate servant with a lesson, Xiao Xian jeered. "There's no need to thank me. Yi, escort her away." "Yes, let's go." This time, Qiu He didn't dare to resist and cast a desperate plea towards Xiao Wei. However, Xiao Wei merely fixed a glare on Xiao Xian and chose not to utter a word. She was well aware that Xiao Xian had no intention of giving her any face. Would saying anything change Xiao Xian's mind? Xiao Xian was merely seizing an opportunity to ridicule her. Why should she demean herself? Why hadn't this wretched woman been eliminated during the daytime assassination? The attackers were completely inept. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1474, On Purpose. Xiao Xian instructed Mian, retrieve the medicine. With her back turned to Xiao Wei, she whispered something to Mian, who nodded and quickly departed. Before long, Mian returned with the necessary medical supplies. Xiao Xian then directed Li Xia and Li Qiu to assist her in applying the medicine and bandaging Xiao Wei's wound. Afterward, she instructed 2 maids to remain with Xiao Wei, ensuring they didn't leave her side for even a moment. Xiao Wei displayed no gratitude toward Xiao Xian. She merely glared at her and allowed the 2 maids to escort her away. With time, the commotion subsided, and the camp gradually grew quieter as everyone took the opportunity to rest. Shortly thereafter, Xiao Yunduan returned to their tent, shared by him and Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian addressed him, "Husband, I believe I've discerned why they placed Xiao Wei in this group." Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. After Qiu he was led away by Yi. Mian promptly followed and inquired about the medicine for external injuries. After Yi provided the information, she hurried away again. Yi didn't escort Qiu he elsewhere. Instead, he suddenly kicked her from behind, hitting the back of her knee joint. Caught off guard, Qiu he emitted a pained groan and tumbled to the ground. Her vision darkened, and tears welled up instantly. Suppressing the pain in her chest, she clenched her teeth and lowered her head. "Madam has instructed you to kneel here without moving. You'll remain kneeling throughout the night. Should I catch you slacking off, you'll continue kneeling the following night and the one after that." Gritting her teeth, Qiu he retorted, "Madam has gone too far. I still need to return to serve our Mississippi." Yi snorted and maintained his silent vigil, eyeing her intently. However, his silence did not signify agreement with her words. Qiu he seethed internally, cursing the peculiar individuals surrounding Xiao Xian. Especially Yi, who appeared foolish and guileless, as though he were easy to deceive, when in fact, he was anything but. Yi couldn't be bothered to engage with them. Even when they tried to strike up conversations with him, he remained utterly silent, no matter what they said. This time, it was no different. Her vehement protests seemed to fall on deaf ears, as if they had automatically muted themselves. Nonetheless, Qiu he was well aware that if she dared to make a move, he would unquestionably kick her again. Suppressing her fury, Qiu he deliberately adopted a pitiable countenance. She lifted her head to gaze at Yi. "My leg is wounded. Could you please provide me with some external injury medicine for treatment?" Yi glanced at her but continued to maintain his silence. Qiu he put on a forced smile. "I have no choice but to heed Madame Xiao's directive. I'll apply the medicine and accept my punishment." As she struggled to rise, Yi raised his foot. "Attempt to move." Qiu he couldn't take it any longer. Her knees turned weak, causing her to tumble heavily onto the rugged ground once more. Her vision dimmed, and tears nearly welled up again. "Is Madame truly so heartless? My legs will be ruined if I continue kneeling like this throughout the night." Yi remained unmoved, silently thinking to himself, "You deserve to have your legs ruined. A servant like you remained unscathed while your mistress got hurt. How would you complain once I've maimed your leg? It was only fair." Yi kept his gaze fixed on Qiu he until the entire area was tidied up before returning to his rest. Prior to departing, he didn't neglect to issue a threat. "Don't move, or else, humph." Qiu he seethed with resentment. Following Yi's departure, although she didn't dare to leave, she promptly seated herself on the ground. "If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1475. Torment Xiao. He gently massaged her knee, feeling the pain intensifying. Undoubtedly, her external injury was not trivial. However, she didn't have any medical supplies on her, but there was some external injury medicine in the carriage. Xiao scanned her surroundings and signaled a guard to approach. She beseechingly asked for some external injury medicine. The guard glanced at her and tossed a bottle of medicine her way. Overflowing with gratitude, Xiao hastily applied the medicine. The mountain night was chilly, with temperatures a few degrees lower than elsewhere due to the extensive forest. Xiao trembled as she discreetly requested an additional cloak. Though not as cozy as being wrapped in tense blankets, it would at least provide some defense against the cold. Shivering, she remained huddled in a ball throughout the night. The following morning, she was jolted awake by a sudden, searing pain. Yi had kicked her wounded leg. In a daze, she yelped and snapped awake. "You!" Yi declared, "Madam ordered you to kneel throughout the night as a punishment for your negligence. Is this how you regard Madam's commands? You don't seem to take Madam seriously at all." "I'm wounded, and it's cold here. I dozed off because I wasn't vigilant. Please have mercy." Xiao knew that her wound must have reopened. Even if it was just a superficial wound, she couldn't predict how many days of torment lay ahead. Nevertheless, she was the one at fault and couldn't afford to challenge Yi in any way. All she could do was admit her mistake. Her humiliation was quite profound. Yi uttered, "Madam expects you to return to your mistress. She anticipated your dishonesty and instructed you not to apply any more medicine or to take any. Kneel obediently in the carriage. If you defy her once more, it'll shatter your legs." Xiao was stunned, her scalp prickling in apprehension. If Yi stated that he would break her leg, he would undoubtedly follow through with it. He wasn't one to be careless in his threats. Understood, Xiao hobbled toward the carriage, feeling miserable. Each step she took was filled with excruciating pain. She privately cursed Yi for being exceedingly ruthless. In her current condition, she couldn't help but wonder how long it would take her to recover. Upon her return to the carriage, she was surprised to see two maidservants attending to Xiao Wei. Frowning, she said, "Our miss doesn't need you to serve her. Please." The two maidservants exchanged glances but remained unmoved. "Madame Xiao instructed us to be here." "Yes," Madame Xiao emphasized that we must not leave without her consent. Xiao seethed and glanced at Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei furrowed her brows slightly but said nothing. Xiao was clearly limping and in no condition to take care of herself. Her leg had yet to heal. Bearing her anger, Xiao eventually climbed into the carriage, her wounds screaming with pain. She allowed the two maidservants to help her, but they paid her no mind. Instead, they confidently stated, "Madame Xiao sent us here to look after Miss Xiao. They were not here to serve her." Xiao was seething with fury. Early in the morning, everyone continued their journey at a slow pace. Regardless of Xiao's pleas for assistance, the two maidservants paid her no heed. Instead, they began to supervise her, insisting that she kneel and accept her punishment. She finally comprehended how Xiao Wei had felt when Xiao Xian had constantly scolded her. It was deeply frustrating, but she had no choice but to endure it. Xiao responded indifferently, feigning as though they no longer existed. It was just kneeling, after all. She would endure it. She knelt for a prolonged period. Having endured the torment outside throughout the night, she had caught a cold and suffered the effects of Yi's kicks. Her external injuries were substantial. Moreover, she couldn't pretend to kneel under the watchful eyes of the two maidservants. In less than half a day, she fainted. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1476. Can't understand. By the time Xiao slowly woke up, half a day had passed. The entire team had already walked out of the Black Tiger Forest. Xiao Xian asked Yi to pass the message, saying that she was going to show her some mercy, so she did not need to kneel down. Xiao gritted her teeth and thanked her. At this moment, her legs were already aching and numb, and she had almost lost consciousness. Her head was dizzy, and her body felt cold and hot. It was extremely uncomfortable. However, the two maidservants acted as if they did not see anything and refused to even pour her a cup of hot water. He was angry, and hateful, so she could only endure it. Deep down inside her heart, she could not help but wonder what she had done to offend Madame Xiao. It was not enough for her to make trouble with Xiao Wei. Why did she make trouble with her, the maid? It could only be said that Madame Xiao was too free. Either she was frightened and deliberately took it out on them. The group of people finally left the Black Tiger forest safely. All of them were energized and heaved a sigh of relief. The primordial old lady in the forest was lush and gave off a strong sense of oppression. Everyone wished that they could get as far away from it as possible. After walking out, they only took a short rest and ate something before immediately starting their journey again. Only half a day had passed. They could still walk for another half a day. This road was much easier to walk. They could walk far in half a day. After the discussion, Sun Bai and Sun Qian reported to Xiao Yunduan and suggested that they should keep a steady pace for the next few days. There's clearly something wrong with those gray wolves in the middle of the night. I don't dare to say if everyone will be able to sleep peacefully every night in the future. At night, they won't be able to sleep well. If they're in a hurry to travel during the day, even someone made of iron won't be able to last for more than a few days. If any negligence is caused, the consequences will be unimaginable. They all remembered that the wolf pack was the only one who attacked in the middle of the night yesterday. There was no one. In the battle in the morning yesterday, more than half of the other party had escaped. At this moment, they did not know where they were hiding, waiting for them to kill their way out when they were tired and negligent. Xiao Yunduan nodded. You are right. According to the normal schedule, we will reach Huning City in almost 20 days, right? If we travel at full speed, we will need about half a month. There is no need to fight for these days. If you don't have a good night's rest, you should slow down. You just need to return to Huning City within a month. Everyone was tired yesterday and didn't rest well at night. Pass down the order to camp early today. I have something to say then. Xiao Yunduan took a look at the two of them and praised them inwardly. They were indeed the elites of the prince's mansion. They were very thorough and timely. Sun Bai and Sun Qian looked at each other imperceptibly and secretly heaved a sigh of relief. They hurriedly agreed with cupped fists. What they were most worried about was that Lord Xiao would panic because of his insecurity. They wanted to speed up and get to Huning City as soon as possible. Everyone knew that as long as they reached Huning City, they would be much safer. Many people in the team had already expressed this intention. They couldn't wait to look like they could endure no matter how difficult or tiring the journey was as long as they could leave this place early. However, more haste less speed meant more danger, hence, they only rushed for about 2.5 hours in the afternoon. When they arrived at a place that Sun Bai and Sun Qian felt was suitable for them to camp for the night, they ordered the entire team to stop. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1477, Slow down as expected. This attracted a lot of dissatisfaction. What? It stopped just like that? Yes, it's too early. It's still early. We can walk for at least another 3 hours. Wouldn't it be better to speed up and go home as soon as possible? Yeah. Xiao Yunduan gathered everyone together. He was not sure if there were any spies of the fourth prince here, so Xiao Yunduan did not tell them the truth. He just said that it was better to stop and take a rest to prevent them from getting tired. It would be easier for them to travel if they had enough energy. Most of the people could not accept this reason. Xiao Yunduan had always been a gentle man, and his eagerness to go home had emboldened them. Some people could not help but raise their heads, and many people agreed with them, asking them to hurry up. Xiao Yunduan consoled them patiently, saying that it was for everyone's own good, so that they could have a good rest so that they would not feel uncomfortable on the road. There was no need to worry. Sun Bai and Sun Qian did not say a word. They stood there with indifferent expressions, but in fact, they were watching coldly from the side. Their shrewd eyes swept across everyone without batting an eyelid. From today onwards, those who spoke the most actively and were the most provocative would be watched by their trusted aides. Xiao Yunduan was going to cooperate with Sun Bai and Sun Qian, so he talked with them for a long time. When Sun Bai and Sun Qian signaled him with their eyes, he turned serious and said in a low voice, "I am responsible for you, and I don't want you to come back to Huning City with a dirty face. That is unacceptable. I have made up my mind, don't say anything more. Hurry up and go to work. Set up camp early to cook and rest early. Everyone, disperse." With that, he turned around and left without caring if they had anything else to say. Everyone looked at each other and could only leave dejectedly or unhappily. They went to work. Xiao Xian was waiting for Xiao Yunduan with a smile. They looked at each other and smiled. Xiao Yunduan was very pleased. He took her hand and said softly, "It will take a long time on the way. You look like you are in danger, but in fact, you are saving your strength in case you are attacked. Don't worry, my wife, I have arranged everything." Xiao Xian nodded with a smile. "Husband, you don't have to explain to me. You have your own reasons." Xiao Yunduan smiled. How nice it would be if everyone was as reasonable as his wife. In the middle of the night, another crazed wolf pack came to harass them. This time, there were not so many, only 20. Even so, in the middle of the night, it caused a huge commotion in the camp. Fortunately, there were no casualties. The next day, they still found a suitable place to set up camp early in the morning. That night, they did not encounter any more accidents. However, there were crazy wolf packs attacking at night for 2 consecutive nights. Everyone subconsciously became vigilant and felt that they would come tonight, so they did not dare to fall asleep at night. On the night of the 3rd day, Xiao Xian secretly used her superpower and extended it to 5 miles away from the camp. That night, more than 10 wolves tried to attack the camp. But before they got close, Xiao Xian used her power to mutate the vines and strangled them all to death. It was not that she was cruel, but she had no choice. Although the grassland was vast, the number of wolves in each area was limited. The wolf pack and the wolf pack each had their own territory, so they would not easily cross the line. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1478, Superpower. It was impossible for the other party to always find so many wolves to cause trouble. The fact that there were fewer of them each time was a good indication of the truth. If there were more tomorrow night or the night after, it would definitely be even less. Moreover, in a few days, there would definitely not be any more. That night, everyone finally had a good night's sleep. They were full of energy, and they finally felt more at ease as they chatted and laughed. It seemed like the other party had run out of tricks. Xiao Xian was exhausted at night, so she was very sleepy during the day. At first, Xiao Yunduan thought that something was wrong with her, so he was worried and anxious. But then she said with a smile that she did not sleep well at night and that she just needed to get some sleep in during the day. Then Xiao Yunduan asked the accompanying doctor to check her pulse. It turned out that she was indeed tired and not in good spirits, so he did not insist. Xiao Xian slept for half a day in the wagon, and finally got over it. When they were about to reach their camp in the afternoon, they were much more energetic. Seeing this, Lixia smiled and said, "Madam looks much more energetic now. Mian, quickly go and tell the adults. Don't let Lord worry." Mian smiled and agreed. She ordered the carriage to slow down and jumped down. Xiao Xian was not able to stop them, so she said helplessly, "That is not necessary. You are just messing around." Lixia and Liqiu covered their mouths and laughed. Liqiu also smiled and said, "Madam, this was all instructed by the Lord. You went to bed early in the morning. The Lord came over several times and saw that you were sleeping soundly, so he couldn't bear to disturb you. That's why he specially instructed you. The Lord is taking good care of you, madam." "True." Xiao Xian got slightly startled. So she had slept for so long? She only knew that she had a very deep and comfortable sleep, but she had not expected that she would fall asleep during the whole day. A few moments later, Xiao Yunduan rode a horse over and called her through the curtain. Xiao Xian lifted the curtain and smiled at him. Husband. Xiao Yunduan smiled and looked at her up and down. You look much more energetic. You must be tired. As she spoke, she felt a little guilty. Over the past few days, she had probably been frightened a lot. Although she did not show it on her face, when he comforted her, she was still smiling and comforting him instead. However, how could he not be afraid? Xiao Yunduan sighed inwardly. Thinking about how there were still so many days to go, he couldn't help but say some comforting words. They chatted for a while and Xiao Yunduan left when someone came to look for him. After traveling for less than half an hour, they stopped and set up camp. At this time, it was about 4 in the afternoon. In this place where the sky turned dark much later than in the capital, there were at least 4 hours before it turned dark. Qiao Xian was full of energy and felt refreshed, so she went to find trouble with Qiao Wei. Qiao Wei's injury had been tampered with by Qiao Xian, and she was recovering very slowly. Qiao He's leg had been kicked by Ai, and the medicine was not very effective either. These days, the two of them had been very low-key and kept a low profile. As soon as Qiao Xian arrived, Qiao Wei got startled and stared at her. Qiao Xian snorted. I am just here to see how Miss Qiao is doing. Please get well, or we will be dragged down. You didn't do it on purpose, right? You. The veins on Xiao Wei's forehead throbbed as she gritted her teeth. Qiao Xian, don't push me too far. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1479. Too surprising. Xiao Xian did not care about what she said, so she made a fuss for a while before leaving. Qiao Wei wanted to curse, but when she saw the two maids in the carriage, she gritted her teeth and almost vomited blood. That night, just as Qiao Xian had expected, less than 10 wolves were released to cause trouble. It seemed that they had a very clear purpose. The result of the attack was not important. What was important was to harass them and not let them live in peace. Unfortunately, they had miscalculated Rui's plan. Those few wolves were killed by Qiao Xian when they were still 5 miles away. After finishing the work that night, Qiao Xian found that she was not as tired as last night. It had something to do with the fact that there were not many wolves tonight. Maybe it was because she had used too much last night, which was also a stimulation for her power, making it more solid. Another safe and sound night passed. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. They felt that the other party must have given up after realizing that there was no opportunity to take advantage of them no matter what they did. The atmosphere in the entire camp became much more relaxed and light. Sun Bai and Sun Xian did not dare to be negligent. They ordered their trusted subordinates to pass down the order. They still had to be careful and vigilant. It was impossible for the fourth prince to only have this little trick up his sleeve. What they did not know was that in another place in the grassland, a group of people looked at the row of wolf corpses on the ground in front of them. Their expressions were solemn as they fell into deep shock and contemplation. It was the same for both knights. Before these wolves could reach the other party's camp, they were all dead. There was not a single wound on his body. All of them were suffocated to death by the neck. How was this possible? This was a wolf, not some harmless little animal. Moreover, they had fed them medicine that would make them irritable and irrational. If they wanted to kill them, they could only fight them head-on. No one could strangle them so neatly. However, such a thing had really happened. There were more than 30 of them, so there was no way they could be wrong. What the hell is going on? Strange, too strange. This. How did they do it? What kind of method is this? It's too terrifying. The group of people were bewildered. They discussed and discussed, but in the end, they could not come to a conclusion. They did not believe it. They still had the last group of wolves that they had hired someone to capture. There were 36 of them. They had originally planned to release them 3 nights later to harass them, but now they had changed their minds. They would release them all that night and send 7 people to follow them to investigate. They had to find out what was going on. So this night, Xiao Xian not only found the wolves, but also the people following them. Those people must have realized that those wolves had died abnormally. They wanted to see clearly. Fortunately, only 7 people came. It was obviously impossible for 7 people to keep an eye on more than 30 wolves. Xiao Xian's superpower had reached a level where she could control her power freely. Also, it was very dark at night, and the grass was very lush at this time of the year. She could always choose their blind spots to attack, and soon, 7 or 8 wolves died silently. When someone noticed the dead wolves and ran over to take a look, the others joined them as well. While they were looking at each other, Xiao Xian took the opportunity to strike, using her superpower to take down another 7 or 8 wolves before they could see them. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1480. It happened again. She repeated the same method 2 or 3 times. When the 7 people were dizzy, bewildered, and unable to look around in time, the 36 wolves had already suffocated to death. They silently lay in various postures in the grass. Under the bleak night sky, a cold wind blew, and the weeds rustled. A bone-piercing chill rose from under their feet, making one's hair stand on end. Ghost. There's a ghost. One of them let out a shrill cry and screamed as he turned around and ran. The other 6 were already frightened by this strange scene. With someone taking the lead, everyone's mentality immediately collapsed. One after another, they just turned around and ran in panic. How was this still a shadow guard assassin with strong martial arts skills? They were just in a sorry state. Xiao Xian snickered inwardly. She immediately activated her power and wanted to kill all 7 of them. She did not dare to kill them, but these bastards were not good people. They could at least be half crippled. But these people were not weak, so they ran away as fast as lightning. Xiao Xian did not manage to catch all of them, so she only caught the 2 people who were the last. The 2 of them were caught by the grass and fell to the ground. In their shock, they wanted to get up and continue running, but they could not get up no matter what. The grass wrapped around their feet became tighter and tighter, so tight that it was almost into their flesh. The 2 of them were both experts in martial arts and could easily break the necks of others. However, at this moment, they were wrapped by the weeds and could not break free. They had just witnessed such a strange scene. Now that they had encountered such a situation, the 2 of them were frightened out of their wits. They tore open their throats and screamed, "Help! Help!" Then, their eyes rolled back and they actually fainted from fear. After dawn, the other party's group came searching. When they saw the wolf corpses all over the ground, they were all speechless. When they found the 2 of them, they checked their breathing and found that they were still breathing. They were overjoyed and quickly saved them. They were still hoping to get something out of them. Unexpectedly, the 2 of them were still filled with fear when they woke up. They did not know anything. They really did not know. It must be a ghost. A ghost grabbed my foot. I couldn't break free no matter how hard I struggled. It must be a ghost. It's too scary, too scary, one of them was mumbling incoherently, while the other was so frightened that his eyes were frozen. When he heard these words, his face instantly turned pale, and he screamed with fear in his eyes. He had obviously gone crazy. When everyone looked at the 2 of them again, their legs were already crippled. Moreover, their mental state was abnormal. Everyone looked at each other, especially those who had personally experienced that strange thing last night. Their eyes were filled with fear, and their hearts were filled with sorrow. Almost, they would also become like this. Lord, what should we do? What kind of demon, demonic spirit technique is this? What kind of demon technique is this? No matter what it is, everyone fell silent, and the air became suffocating. Yes, no matter what it was, they could not resist it. How were they supposed to continue playing like this? Were they really going to die one by one? Fear rose in everyone's hearts, and they all wanted to retreat. The hesitation in the leader's eyes only lasted for a short moment. He sneered and said, "I don't know what unorthodox methods they used, but their goal has clearly been achieved. Look at all of you. Humph. What are you afraid of? Don't forget what we're here for. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1481, Discovered Again. Remember Master's warnings before we embarked? Can't say you're ignorant of Master's temperament. Heads hung in solemn agreement as the leader continued, shedding light on the mysterious wolf deaths. The wolves were drugged by us, but they outsmarted us. Planted medicine outside their camp, and the wolves succumbed. Relief washed over the group as they nodded, finding clarity in the explanation. As for those two, they were likely captured and had their wills crushed, left behind to sow panic. Your reactions played right into their hands. A collective sense of shame settled among them. The leader's cold smile cut through. Don't buy into their schemes. Prepare yourselves. Tonight, we infiltrate and eliminate Xiao. Yes. That night, over 30 people stealthily approached Xiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, and the others. However, Xiao Xian detected them 5 miles away. With time being of the essence, Xiao Xian couldn't afford to let her guard down. Sleep during the day, vigilance at night, every moment counted. Surprisingly, her superpower became more potent and concentrated with each stimulation. A delightful revelation amidst the tension. Tonight, a substantial number of skilled individuals, clad in nocturnal attire, silently moved with expertise. Their potential intrusion posed unimaginable consequences. Xiao Xian, however, smirked internally. Without hesitation, she employed her superpower, setting the camp stones in motion, causing grass and leaves to tremble violently. This anomaly swiftly captured the attention of patrolling guards. Birds resting in the distance took flight, their alarmed cries piercing the night air. Chilled to the bone, the guards shouted, "Be on guard! Be on guard!" The would-be assassins, brimming with killing intent and set on catching their targets off guard, seethed with anger as their vision darkened. Curses filled the air. Bastard! Bastard! Boss, what now? Should we press on? Why bother advancing? The leader spat hatefully. We've alerted them. No chance of victory, no chance of success. Retreat. Yes. Exposure was no longer a concern. Abandoning stealth, the group hastily reversed course. Sunbai and his men pursued, but it was too late. Regrettably, they had to relent. In a concealed location, over 30 individuals in night clothes, some standing, some sitting, wore grim expressions. Unease spread among them as they exchanged furtive glances. Something was amiss. It felt as if the other party had divine intervention. Despite their efforts to conceal traces during the ambush and this sneak attack, they inexplicably triggered the nesting birds, causing a chaotic disturbance and thwarting their plan. The inexplicable turn of events left them thoroughly disheartened. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1482, Could There Be a Spy? They were all elite individuals handpicked by the Fourth Prince, capable of taking on 10 opponents solo. Whether in martial arts or strategic thinking, they excelled. Even if the other party's defenses were as impenetrable as an iron bucket, the likelihood of infiltrating and assassinating them was still remarkably high. Yet, before they could make a move, an unexpected incident occurred. How could they reconcile with such a turn of events? This was a level of frustration they had never experienced before. Boss, could there be a spy among us? How else could this be so coincidental? The mere suggestion sent shockwaves through the group. The revelation hung in the air, prompting furtive glances and silent suspicions among them. Each member couldn't help but wonder if someone among them was a double agent. The leader felt a chill in his heart, eyeing everyone with suspicion. He was not one to believe in chance or luck, and the idea of a traitor seemed to provide a more plausible explanation. Yet, identifying the mole was no easy task. None of them appeared to be a likely suspect. Despite being trusted aides of His Highness, the unpredictability of the human heart left room for doubt. If there's no evidence, refrain from baseless accusations, the leader warned, though internally he pondered, could the accuser be deflecting attention from their own guilt? Despite the suspicion, immediate action seemed inappropriate. The priority now was to uncover the mole. Amidst the tension, the atmosphere suddenly shifted to calmness, surprising Xiao Yunduan, Sun Bai, and Sun Qian. This time, they were genuinely stunned, struggling to grasp the meaning behind the other party's actions. Even the experienced Sun Bai and Sun Qian found themselves bewildered. The only certainty amidst the confusion was the assurance of sufficient rest time. With that, the pace of their journey could be accelerated. Yet, vigilance remained paramount, especially during the night. Careful selection of safe resting places was imperative. The plan had undergone a drastic change. What was initially estimated to be a cautious month-long journey was now shortened by 6 to 7 days, adding a layer of torment to their stay in this desolate, dangerous foreign land. The return to Huning City was imminent, slated for no more than 3 days according to the revised itinerary. The anticipation lifted spirits, infusing the group with newfound energy as they hurried forward. Each evening, during their camp setups and rests, small groups convened to passionately discuss plans for their return to Huning City. The prospect of relaxation and rest fueled their eagerness to hasten the journey. That night, they camped on a small hill, enjoying a broad field of vision with their backs against a weathered stone wall. As they neared Huning City, the scarcity of trees made ambushes difficult, contributing to a subconscious sense of relaxation. Amidst the eagerness to return home, a lapse in attention became inevitable. Little did they anticipate that their proximity to Huning City would almost lead to their demise on an otherwise ordinary night. Accustomed to extending her superpower's range to 5 miles, Xiao Xian ensured constant vigilance over the surroundings, keeping everyone safe. In the early morning haze, the thunderous sound of approaching horse hooves startled Xiao Xian, prompting her to instinctively retract her superpower. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1483, Besieged Xiao Xian was disoriented by the earth-shattering noise. Before she could react, a piercing whistle echoed through the intermediate camp. In swift succession, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and others shouted, "Enemy attack! Quick! Prepare to defend! Hurry up!" Under the leader's commands, the guards swiftly armed themselves and assumed their positions. The ordinary followers, engulfed in chaos, were left unattended as everyone focused on the impending threat. Cavalries approached with lightning speed, catching Xiao Xian off guard. In the blink of an eye, they were upon her. Charge! Kill! The thunderous battle cries sent shivers down spines. Horses neighed, hooves raised dust, and a formidable group of at least 100 warriors brandishing bright sabers and long swords charged forward with deadly intent. The ground quivered. Fire! 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 Both sides issued the order simultaneously. Arrows hissed through the air, intertwining like locusts, and sharp, cold arrowheads aimed straight for their targets. The camp descended further into chaos, with a cacophony of screams and cries filling the air. Xiao Xian, with a pale face, stood amidst the chaos, flanked by Li Xia, Li Qiu, and Mian Mian, while Ai Yi took a sturdy stance in front of them. Xiao Xian activated her superpower, using roots to trip the oncoming horses. The galloping horses, too fast to evade, succumbed to the trap. Dozens of them knelt down, unleashing screams and neighs, tossing some riders off in the process. In the blink of an eye, dozens of horses fell in a spectacular scene. Get off the horse! Get off the horse! Charge forward and kill! The opposing party was clearly caught off guard by the unexpected turn of events. Seeing the inevitability of the battle, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others seized the opportunity. As the opposing horses collided and chaos ensued, Sun Bai waved his hand and commanded, Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, follow me and fight our way out. Archers, get ready. The rest of you, hold your positions. Brothers, charge. Sun Bai leaped into action, his longsword moving like a meteor. He stabbed an opponent in the chest, kicked them away, and swung his sword with lethal precision. The leader, with a single eye glaring fiercely, raised a bright saber and slashed at Sun Bai. Both sides plunged into a chaotic battle. Saber light and sword shadows scattered in every direction. The sharp clang of weapons colliding sent tremors of fear through onlookers. Screams and grunts punctuated the chaos, and blood splattered, turning the ground red. Some fell, never to rise again. Xiao Yunduan and a few guards gathered the ordinary servants in designated spots, quelling their panic. He turned to look at Xiao Xian, their eyes meeting. Xiao Xian waved at him with a reassuring smile, and Xiao Yunduan felt a sense of relief. The enemies, numerous and relentless, displayed savage ruthlessness, charging fearlessly with no intent to relent. The two sides clashed in a tumultuous battle, locked in an unyielding struggle. The chaos prevented Xiao Xian from effectively using her superpower. Unable to accurately target anyone, she could only fret internally. At this rate, a solution seemed elusive. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1484. Fight. The opposing force boasted a larger number of people, resulting in more guards than their own team. However, the numerical advantage was not significant. The adversaries displayed a valiant and ferocious demeanor, exuding a sense of banditry. Their bold and reckless fighting style proved challenging to resist. Their side seemed impervious to defense, while the defenders faced the burden of maintaining their position at all costs. The dilemma lay in the fact that the opposing party operated without restraint, unburdened by concerns. On the contrary, their side had to staunchly defend the position, as any breach, whether it led to the slaughter of ordinary entourage members or their capture as hostages, would thrust them into a perilous situation. The opposing force understood this dynamic well, which drove them to risk their lives in a relentless charge. Despite their best efforts, their men could only fight to a draw, forming an ineffective barrier. The current situation indicated an imminent breakthrough of the defense line. Sun Bai, Sun Xian, and the core leaders, acutely aware of the impending threat, felt a sense of extreme anxiety. Unexpectedly, a billow of dust appeared in the distance. Another group of people galloped towards them, heading in their direction. Judging by their speed, they would likely reach them in an instant. It was evident that their numbers were significant. Sun Bai and Sun Xian exchanged a glance, understanding each other's thoughts. Let I escort the Lord and Madam to safety. Rally our brothers, and we'll fight our way out. Everyone, flee for your lives. Our fate depends on luck. Let's do it. Bitterness and heaviness weighed on them, but this seemed to be the only viable course of action. Their unwillingness was palpable. Just a couple of days away from reaching Huning City, yet now faced with the prospect of death on the grassland. Who would willingly accept such a fate? The ruthlessness and lack of scruples displayed by the fourth prince, colluding with grassland bandits to orchestrate this attack, caught them off guard. These were no ordinary bandits. The moment the fight began, Sun Bai, Sun Xian, and others could discern their true nature. Sun Bai shouted, forcing his opponent to retreat with his long sword before swiftly heading towards Xiao Yunduan. The approaching smoke and dust signaled the imminent arrival of reinforcements. The ground trembled, and the distant hooves' faint neigh echoed. Time was running out. A decision had to be made instantly and acted upon without delay. Xiao Yunduan promptly rejected Sun Bai's suggestion. Let I escort my wife and his childhood friend. Can't you all protect me? Naturally, he stood by their side. But, no buts. If I go with my wife, we become an easy target. They'll relentlessly pursue us. However, if we separate, they'll chase after me individually, relieving some pressure. Those pursuing Xiao Xian would find no success against the thunder god's speed. Ai, endowed with strength and martial prowess, alongside his intelligent wife, held a high chance of escaping danger and returning to Huning City. The decision was made, and Xiao Yunduan asserted, "It's settled. You organize the men to break through, and I'll talk to her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1485. Prepare to escape. Sun Bai stood there, momentarily speechless. Frowning, he sighed, then stomped his feet to carry out Xiao Yunduan's orders, organizing the servants. Taking hold of Xiao Xian's arms, Xiao Yunduan whispered urgently. Xiao Xian was taken aback. "There's no time. Tell Ai to prepare. You'll charge forward shortly. Sun Bai will arrange cover for you. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Sun Bai and the others can protect me. I'll take Li Xia and the rest, but whether they make it out depends on luck." Xiao Yunduan couldn't offer guarantees in such dire circumstances. A lump formed in Xiao Xian's throat. Her bond with Li Xia and the others ran deep, and she couldn't leave them behind. But to Xiao Yunduan, they were merely servants. Had it not been for him, Xiao Yunduan wouldn't have given them special attention. Today's unforeseen event surpassed their expectations. The chances of escape hinged on life itself. Suddenly, Xiao Xian had an idea. She held on to Xiao Yunduan and said, "Husband, it might not be an enemy, it could be one of us." Xiao Yunduan was startled. Quickly, Xiao Xian smiled and continued, "I don't believe they're enemies. They don't need to approach in two separate groups. If they truly belong to our side, wouldn't it be better to combine forces and attack simultaneously? Don't forget, we're close to Huning City, with numerous garrisons within 100 miles. Who's to say?" Xiao Yunduan's eyes flickered as he began to consider. Xiao Xian chuckled. "Shall we make a bet?" She gazed at him with bright black eyes, a faint smile gracing her red, full lips. The curve of her eyes and the flicker within spoke of her confidence and brightness. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but be excited by her words. What she suggested made perfect sense. With that in mind, he decided to take the gamble. Even if they lost, there would still be time to escape later. Having Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and Ai by their side made the couple's escape a manageable task. For the others, escaping now would likely result in heavy casualties, and the outcome wouldn't differ much if they waited. On the other hand, if the bet proved correct, there would be no need for anyone to escape, and no harm would befall them. The gamble seemed too favorable to pass up. Xiao Yunduan erupted into laughter. "All right, let's take the gamble. You've always been lucky, and I trust you." Xiao Xian smiled. "We are both lucky." The couple exchanged grins. Xiao Yunduan immediately sought out Sun Bai. Sun Bai was taken aback by his words, contemplated it, and eventually agreed. Indeed, the distinction between fighting their way out now or later wasn't significant. In that case, they decided to wait. The thunderous sound of horse hooves became deafening as the group of at least 50 to 60 riders approached. "Blind Sure, is it really you? Why are you here again?" Although this group consisted of only 50 to 60 cavalrymen, it was evident they were elite. All had arrows notched, aimed at the battlefield where the two sides had ceased their deadly conflict. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others could now clearly discern that these individuals were from Great Qin. Despite lacking military attire, the bows and arrows were unmistakably of military origin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1486. The result of the gamble. Additionally, these horses were impeccably groomed, a standard not found anywhere outside the military. In contrast to Blind Sure and his companions' mounts, which varied greatly. Sun Bai promptly cupped his fists and declared in a resounding voice, "Brothers, we are escorting Princess Shuangfu and the Prince of Qingdis wedding envoy team. For some reason, we find ourselves besieging and attacking these bandits. Please assist us. We will surely repay your kindness after this. The opposing group appeared startled, gasping as they regarded them with curiosity. Xiao Yunduan rose and offered a respectful salute. Thank you so much. Blind Shi, in apparent distress, feigned composure. He spat and declared fiercely, how would I know who they are? I just aim to relieve them of their riches. Unluckily for me, it seems my fortunes have run dry. Let's go. With a shout, he leaped onto the nearest horse, clamping his legs together and smacking the horse's hindquarters twice with the hilt of his knife. The horse whinnied in pain and galloped away. His subordinates, in a panicked frenzy, hastily mounted their horses, some settling for whichever they could seize. In the blink of an eye, they scattered like frightened birds and beasts, leaving the scene swiftly. The young man who had berated Blind Shi earlier brandished his whip with a cold smile. Consider yourself fortunate this time. You've had an easy escape. As he spoke, he dismounted, and those with him also stowed their bows and arrows, following suit. Xiao Yunduan retrieved the marriage envoy token and handed it to Sun Bai, proclaiming loudly, I am Xiao, Minister Counselor of the Ministry of Revenue, escorting Princess Shuangfu and the marriage envoy. Here is my token. May I know how to address you? It wasn't merely a matter of formalities but also a means to confirm their identities. Xiao Yunduan also requested the same from the opposing party. Given the unfamiliarity between the two sides, uncertainties lingered. What if they were deceived? What if the other party, seemingly weak, was actually in league with Blind Shi and his accomplices? In this unfamiliar terrain, Xiao Yunduan couldn't afford to be careless. Sun Bai, holding the token, led a few personal guards forward, taking the initiative to request verification from the other party, displaying a commendable sincerity. The man burst into laughter, a blend of amusement and surprise evident in his tone. Lord Xiao, your reputation precedes you. I am Meng Wanfu, the general stationed at Baiming Pass, 40 miles northeast of Huning City, bestowed with the title of Longhu General by the Emperor. Yesterday, I led my men out of the city for a hunt and unexpectedly crossed paths with you. Lord Xiao, rest assured, from this moment on, all of you are safe. Galloping across the grassland with his cavalry, Meng Wanfu moved considerably faster than Xiao Yunduan's gradual journey. Meng Wanfu produced his identity token and handed it to Sun Bai. The moment Sun Bai touched the token, he sensed its authenticity. Delighted, he returned the token to Xiao Yunduan. Sun Bai recognized Meng Wanfu, a rising star in the military. Without a prominent background, he relied on his boldness to make a name for himself. Known for suppressing bandits in the northern region, he once single-handedly thwarted a Beihu ambush on a town, saving over 1,000 lives. This feat earned him the title of a fourth-grade general. Blessed with subsequent successes, he received 2 significant promotions. In a moment of joy, the emperor granted him the title of a third-rank Longhu general. Lacking strong affiliations, Meng Wanfu became a subject of clandestine scrutiny, with various factions attempting to secure his allegiance. However, none dared to be too overt in their efforts. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1487, Old Friend. That's why the Crown Prince took notice of him. Sun Bai and Sun Qian were also aware of it. Knowing Sun Bai's meticulous nature, Xiao Yunduan trusted that if he was fine, there must be no problem. He moved forward to meet General Meng. With the confirmation of safety, everyone let out a collective sigh of relief. They proceeded to clean up the battlefield, tend to their wounds, and pack their belongings. Meng Wanfu and his companions joined in to lend assistance. Out of the blue, Meng Wanfu turned to Xiao Yunduan and remarked, Lord Xiao, do you truly not recognize me? Xiao Yunduan was taken aback. He gazed at Meng Wanfu, perplexed. General Meng, have we met before? A handsome and petite soldier beside Meng Wanfu chuckled. Looking up, she smiled and said, Lord Xiao, do you remember me? Both Xiao Yunduan and Sun Bai were surprised. This bodyguard, disguised as a man, was evidently a woman. While her true identity initially went unnoticed, her feminine tone during speech now made it unmistakable. You are, Xiao Yunduan furrowed his brow. He had a faint recollection of her, but couldn't place her name. The situation felt perplexing. One was General Meng, and the other stood before him. They were likely associated with General Meng. Both inquired if he remembered them, yet he couldn't recall either. The awkwardness of the situation weighed on him. If he had encountered these two individuals before, logic dictated that he shouldn't have forgotten them. This was unreasonable. It felt too unreasonable. Since when did his memory become so unreliable? The woman burst into laughter and explained, I apologize, Lord Xiao. It's perfectly normal not to remember me. While we hailed from the same village, you were engrossed in your studies, either at the academy or home. Meanwhile, I toiled in the mountains and fields every day. I doubt you saw me more than a few times. You're a renowned scholar in our village. Naturally, you'd be remembered. Xiao Yunduan gasped, suddenly recalling something. Surprised, he exclaimed, You're Ding Xiang. I didn't expect to see you here. Xiao Yunduan nearly blurted out, You're not dead. Recognizing the inauspiciousness, he cut himself off just in time. Normally, he wouldn't make such a low-level mistake. Yet, Ding Xiang's presence caught him off guard. He did remember Ding Xiang. Otherwise, he wouldn't have found her familiar. However, the Ding Xiang before him differed significantly from his memory, preventing the connection. The magical and unbelievable nature of this world left him dumbfounded. Ding Xiang joined Meng Wanfu in hearty laughter. I never imagined Lord Xiao would recall me. Ding Xiang expressed her joy. Meng Wanfu smiled, opting not to press Xiao Yunduan further. He respectfully bowed and said, Lord Xiao, do you remember saving a man in a coma on your way home with Madame Xiao? That was me. While Xiao Yunduan might not recall Meng Wanfu could never forget his savior. Unaware of the capital situation, the Lord Xiao before them matched the image in Meng Wanfu's mind. Ding Xiang's mention of Xiaoding village aligned with what Madame Xiao had conveyed. Everything fell into place. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1488, What Godly Luck Is This? Xiao Yunduan recollected the incident, widening his eyes in astonishment. That's you. Meng Wanfu chuckled. Indeed. Lord Xiao, both you and Madame Xiao are my saviors. Never expected to cross paths today. Fate works in mysterious ways, ha ha ha. Xiao Yunduan couldn't help but join in the laughter. Meanwhile, Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the others were left dumbfounded. What kind of magical spectacle was unfolding? What extraordinary stroke of luck was this? Life, indeed, teemed with surprises. Meng Wanfu continued, Lord Xiao's triumph in the Primus made Madame Xiao incredibly proud. She spoke highly of your village, foretelling a bright future. I remember the person who aided me was also from Xiaoding village. Truly, Xiaoding village is blessed. Little did I expect that you, Lord Xiao, were that person. Ding Xiang chuckled. On that note, Madame Xiao is also my savior. If she hadn't secretly provided me with food back then, I doubt I'd have had the strength to scale the wall, let alone escape. Emotions welled up in Ding Xiang. Xiao Yunduan, at a loss for words, could only offer a helpless expression. After a brief exchange, Xiao Yunduan gathered that their awareness of the capital's affairs was limited. They remained oblivious to the developments between him and his wife or her involvement in Princess Shuangfa's wedding party. Understandably, the distant capital held little relevance to the border soldiers. They seldom concerned themselves with events in the capital, deeming them unrelated and inconsequential. Smiling, Xiao Yunduan added, My wife is among the guests accompanying Princess Shuangfu on her journey to be wed. Initially, she was conversing with the princess and is currently with the envoys, so you, really? Ding Xiang's eyes sparkled with surprise and delight. Is Madame Xiao truly here? Where can I find her? Xiao Yunduan gestured behind him, and Ding Xiang eagerly rushed toward them. Meng Wanfu chuckled and waved at Xiao Yunduan, expressing respect. Lord Xiao, please. It seems we still have a considerable distance to cover. Lord Xiao, take a rest. Xiao Yunduan nodded with a smile. General Meng, there's no need for such formality. I don't possess the qualifications. But Meng Wanfu insisted, you are more than worthy. Anytime, you're worthy. Scholars like you are admirable, knowing so much, unlike me, barely literate. Besides, you're my savior. Xiao Yunduan countered, General Meng, you misunderstand. Even without our assistance, you would have carved out your own path to success. We merely lent a helping hand. General Meng, let's not bring this up again. I'm not deserving of such praise. Meng Wanfu laughed heartily. All right, let's drop the topic. In short, if Lord Xiao ever needs my assistance, just ask. Xiao Yunduan's thoughts turned to Qi. He contemplated seeking Meng Wanfu's help, given that Qi was also in the area. However, broaching the subject now seemed inappropriate. He would address it in a few days. Ding Xiang spotted a group of busy women on the hill and hastened toward them. Initially oblivious, Lixia, Liqiu, and the others were taken aback when they saw her approaching their mistress. They quickly intercepted her. My lord, you, Ding Xiang burst into laughter and, realizing her attire, explained with a smile, I'm a woman just like you. Please don't stop me. Where is Madame Xiao? I'm an old friend. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1489, Old Friend Lixia and Liqiu were bewildered. An old friend? Ding Xiang scanned the surroundings and spotted Xiao Xian. With a cheerful smile, she waved her hands and called out, Madame Xiao. Madame Xiao. Her melodic voice confirmed her identity as a woman. Xiao Xian looked up and recognized her. Stunned. You are. Ding Xiang spared Xiao Xian the guessing game. Lifting her head, she beamed with a bright smile. Madame Xiao, I am Ding Xiang from Xiaoding village. You visited me that night and brought me food. Ding Xiang. Xiao Xian echoed Xiao Yundu in surprise, nearly bursting with excitement. Ding Xiang. I knew you would be all right. I had a feeling back then. I never expected this. Ding Xiang chuckled and nodded emphatically. Yes. I'm perfectly fine. Despite their brief encounter, the unique circumstances had etched Ding Xiang in Xiao Xian's memory. Meeting an old friend from such a distant place, and with Ding Xiang's warm reception, the two instantly felt a strong connection. As the two groups merged and resumed their journey, Ding Xiang had changed into simple women's clothes and settled into Xiao Xian's wagon. Curious, Ding Xiang inquired about the reactions of her former supreme-grade family after her departure. Xiao Xian candidly shared the details, and Ding Xiang, unfazed by her grandparents' response, flashed a cold smile. Hearing about the rift between Ding Xiang's family and the supreme-grade family due to her death, her eyes moistened. She discreetly tilted her head, wiping away a few tears. Blaming them for their perceived weakness had been a constant, even after gaining wealth. However, Xiao Xian's revelations seemed to dissipate the resentment, bringing clarity. While her awakening came at the cost of her life, the understanding dawned that her death would render it all meaningless. Recognizing the deep-seated issues in her family, Ding Xiang grasped that change wouldn't come easily, especially given her father's history of oppression and her mother's meek nature. As Xiao Xian reassured her about her family's well-being, Ding Xiang found solace. The news of her supposed demise, while initially upsetting, ultimately reassured her of their love. Even with a changed heart, the familial connection remained in her blood. Grateful for not having perished, Ding Xiang found comfort in Xiao Xian's words. She expressed her joy and proposed calling each other sisters. With a nod and a smile, Xiao Xian agreed, if you don't mind, we can indeed call each other sisters. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1490, Background, of course not. You're the wife of the Primus. You're amazing. I'm the one who doesn't mind. Ding Xiang smiled and expressed her gratitude. Sister, brother-in-law are all good people. Thank you for what you've done for my father and the others. I'm relieved to know that they're all fine. As she spoke, she chuckled. As for that family, when I go back with old Meng one day, I'll teach them a lesson. Now that our family has cut ties with them, that's great. We don't have to worry about anything anymore. Now that Ding Xiang was financially stable, she looked forward to returning and asserting herself. She was determined not to miss the opportunity. Ding Xiang expressed regret and jokingly said, "It's a pity that they're not living a glorious life now. Sigh, I can't wait for them to live a prosperous life now. When they lose everything and fall heavily, it will be even worse and harder to accept." Qiao Xian was left speechless. It sounded quite reasonable. When Ding Xiang discreetly left the village, a caravan happened to be traveling from the county to the provincial capital. She fabricated a pitiful background, claiming she was going to the provincial capital to seek refuge with her relatives. She pleaded with the caravan to take her along and offered to help in return. Impressed by her apparent hardship and clean appearance, the caravan owner agreed to bring her along. And so, Ding Xiang arrived in the provincial city. Her initial plan was to find a way to earn some capital before using it to establish herself. Little did she know that she would encounter Meng Wanfu by a stroke of luck. Both of them found themselves in similar circumstances, hailing from Heshan County with nowhere to go. They ended up relying on each other, making Ding Xiang feel more at ease, as if she had found a reliable ally. Although she had anticipated that this era differed from the more liberal time before her transmigration, leaving Shaoding village made her realize just how inhospitable this era was for a single woman. Establishing herself was an arduous task, especially for a woman with nothing to her name. In this era, even if she were captured by a few ruffians in broad daylight, there would be no one to come to her aid. Ding Xiang proposed that Meng Wanfu enlist in the army. Given his skills, military service was a viable option. They could head to the border together and await news of conscription. Besides, border cities were likely to have thriving trade, providing opportunities to earn money easily. Even if joining the army wasn't possible, there were still ample opportunities to make a living. Meng Wanfu considered the proposal and found it to be a practical approach, so he agreed. Using some of Meng Wanfu's funds, Ding Xiang purchased several sets of clothing for both of them. She also acquired a set of basic study tools and a few books, such as the 3-character classic and the 100 family surnames. During this process, Meng Wanfu felt a pang in his heart. However, Ding Xiang explained that he lacked literacy skills. Without the ability to read and write, it would be challenging for him to stand out in the army. Learning a few words every night was necessary for his future prospects. Though reluctant, Meng Wanfu acknowledged the validity of Ding Xiang's reasoning. Driven by his deep-seated resentment, he gritted his teeth and reluctantly agreed. Ding Xiang took on the role of his tutor. As for how Ding Xiang could read, she couldn't actually read. However, while working, she often eavesdropped on lessons in the neighboring village's school. In doing so, she managed to memorize the 3-character classic. Matching the words in the book allowed her to recognize them naturally. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1491, Foothold. Meng Wanfu believed in her and admired her. Subsequently, Ding Xiang employed this technique to instruct him in recognizing commonly used words. She went on to purchase several history books, narrating tales of the 36 strategies, historical anecdotes, principles, and more from the books. Meng Wanfu became even more impressed, feeling his own intellectual limitations. He found it challenging to grasp so much merely through reading. However, 50 tales of silver proved insufficient. In the provincial city, Ding Xiang acquired a subpar eyebrow pencil, investing over 10 taels in novel-looking paper flowers to sell to the embroidery workshop. Despite the flowers appearing novel, their actual value was limited, and the embroidery workshop was unwilling to pay a high price. After negotiations, they settled for a sale of 4 taels of silver. Ding Xiang then designed 2 sets of jewelry and sold them to a shop for 12 taels. The duo expended 10 taels to hire a carriage to Jianghu city and procured 200 caddies of tea leaves from Yuzhong. After 3.5 days, they reached Jianghu city and sold the tea leaves to the second Dao trafficker for 20 taels of silver. The total cost of the tea leaves was 11 taels. This trip yielded a profit of 9 taels, with only 1 or 2 taels spent to reach Jianghu city. In Jianghu city, Ding Xiang chartered a boat and bought a batch of goods to sell at the next stop. After more than a month, upon reaching Huning city, they managed to cover all their expenses, including food, accommodation, and transportation, and even earned 2 to 3 yuan. They reveled in laughter for an extended period. Meng Wanfu was brimming with admiration and a sense of ease. Even if he couldn't join the army, he could engage in business with Ding Xiang and make a living. Meanwhile, Ding Xiang, overwhelmed with emotion, was on the verge of tears. The transportation in ancient times was undeniably grueling. Although the journey from south to north covered only a short distance, after more than a month, she was utterly exhausted, nearly crippled. Despite her diligent efforts in accumulating goods, her earnings were meager. When they reached Huning city, they still had 65 taels of silver. Ding Xiang decisively took Meng Wanfu and spent 10 taels of silver to rent a small courtyard for a year and a half. Planning to stay for an extended period, staying in an inn, which would burn through too much money, was not an option. Meng Wanfu's luck proved favorable. In less than half a month, news of conscription spread. He was promptly selected, without any suspense. However, following Ding Xiang's advice, he didn't rush to stand out. Keeping a low profile, he proactively made friends. Only when appropriate did his superior, accidentally, discover that he not only knew how to read but also possessed knowledge of military tactics. Consequently, he swiftly became a member of a general's personal army. Later, Ding Xiang devised a plan for him, and with his intelligence and the fortune of survival, he thrived. Meanwhile, with Meng Wanfu managing her business in Huning city, Ding Xiang's enterprise flourished. She became a renowned businesswoman in the city. Naturally and seamlessly, the two of them married 2 years ago. Meng Wanfu respected and indulged Ding Xiang, never imposing restrictions. When someone offered him a concubine, Ding Xiang wielded a whip and kicked at the door, nearly scaring the person to death. Now, in the military camps around Huning city, everyone knew that Madame Meng was formidable and possessive. No one dared to present General Meng with concubines anymore. Curious about their well-being, Ding Xiang inquired about Xiao Xian and Xiao Yinduan. She couldn't help but express concern. "Sister, you're a kind-hearted person. I fear those madams and young ladies in the capital aren't to be trifled with. Have they mistreated you in the capital? Will Lord Xiao protect you? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1492. Remember, Xiao Xian had married beneath his status, but with Xiao Yunduan now favored in the East Palace, Ding Xiang was unsure if he would become arrogant or develop undesirable habits as a result. Ding Xiang genuinely cared about Xiao Xian. Internally sweating, Xiao Xian felt stressed under Ding Xiang's concerned gaze. She had never expected someone to describe her as innocent, which left her feeling a bit embarrassed. Ding Xiang persisted, "I truly consider you one of us. If you ever face any injustices, you must inform me. I will ensure justice is served." Having no close relatives and viewing the Ding family as enemies, not family, Ding Xiang couldn't escape the estrangement in her heart. Although her parents' actions, fueled by the belief she was dead, brought relief, the emotional distance remained. Xiao Xian stood out as the only one who offered support during her troubled times, providing the warmth and comfort she craved. This kindness was etched in her memory, a sentiment she would carry with her for the rest of her life. Hearing Ding Xiang's tone, Xiao Xian couldn't help but laugh. She shook her head and replied, "My husband treats me well, he's a good man, and am not mistreated. If he ever mistreats me in the future, I'll turn to you for help. Alright, don't forget. They exchanged smiles. Both were curious about each other's cities, Ding Xiang about the capital, and Xiao Xian about Huning City. They engaged in conversation throughout the day, parting only when they set up camp at night. With dozens of elites led by Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang now in their group, everyone felt more secure. With Meng Wanfu standing alone, the fourth prince's subordinates wouldn't dare to act recklessly unless they went insane. Qiao Wei, almost recovered from her injuries, learned about Meng Wanfu and Ding Xiang's identities. In the evening, during their camp setup, she had someone assist her in greeting Ding Xiang. After visiting Xiao Yunduan, Xiao Xian returned to find Xiao Wei conversing with Ding Xiang. Ding Xiang, lowering her eyes, wore an unreadable expression. Disdain crossed Xiao Xian's face as she observed Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei always exuded confidence, but not everyone who seemed close to her agreed with her or considered her a friend. Birds of a feather flock together, and Xiao Wei was not part of that flock. Sensing Xiao Xian's return, Ding Xiang looked up, greeted her with a smile, and stood up. Sister. Xiao Xian smiled, taking a seat beside her. What were you discussing? At the affectionate use of sister by Ding Xiang, Xiao Wei's smile froze, replaced by burning jealousy and anger. What audacity! Why was Xiao Wei always present, ingratiating herself with Madame Meng so quickly? How shameless! Envy flared within her. Despite her previous indifference and lack of response to flattery, she found Xiao Xian so friendly. What had Xiao Xian done? Xiao Wei refused to let anyone address her as sister. Xiao Yunduan was merely a fifth-ranked official, not as powerful as General Meng, a third-ranked general. This felt like a trap. How shameless. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1493, Wretched Woman. Ding Xiang glanced at Xiao Wei and smiled faintly. Just some casual gossip. Xiao Wei immediately chimed in, exactly. Ms. Ding is so amusing, forthright, and knowledgeable. Conversations with her are like a refreshing breeze, so enlightening. Her use of Ms. Ding sounded intimate, creating an illusion of a deep and close friendship where they shared everything. Xiao Xian remained silent, maintaining a smile. Xiao Wei, sensing Xiao Xian's displeasure, felt a surge of pride. She turned to Ding Xiang with warmth, saying, Ms. Ding, you've had a tough day. Make sure to eat well and rest early. There's not much entertainment here in the wilderness, and you must have endured a lot. When we reach Huning City, we'll host a banquet in your honor. Ding Xiang, smiling faintly, replied, We're very close to Huning City, not really in the wilderness. Besides, I'm not that delicate, let alone aggrieved. I've lived in Huning City for a few years. Xiao Wei forced a smile, You're truly an admirable woman. We owe it to General Meng and Ms. Ding's assistance today. When we arrive in Huning City, we'll make sure to treat you well and express our gratitude. Ding Xiang nonchalantly shrugged, Sounds good. I'll be waiting for your hospitality and thanks. Xiao Wei, forcing another smile, said, Certainly, certainly. Oh, I need to have a private chat with my sister now. Miss Qiao, would you mind giving us some space? Xiao Wei froze, anger simmering within her. She was about to burst from the praise Xiao Xian received, yet now Ms. Ding was requesting privacy to speak with her sister, a clear signal to keep her distance after all the flattery. Ding Xiang threw a glance at Xiao Xian and smiled. Sister, I'm not an outsider, and we used to be related by blood. You won't mind, will you? Xiao Xian, recognizing the theatrics, understood Ding Xiang's intentions. Her response was clear and straightforward. I do mind. Xiao Wei, appearing shocked and hurt, glanced between Xiao Xian and Ding Xiang. Ding Xiang burst into laughter and said, Miss Qiao, please. Chased away once again, Xiao Wei couldn't bear to stay any longer. Face alternating between red and white, she bit her lips and declared, I know you've always had a prejudice against me. In that case, I won't be an eyesore to my sister. Ms. Ding, I'll speak with my wife later. Ding Xiang smiled, offering no reply. Xiao Wei left, trying to maintain composure, and Ding Xiang couldn't help but express her disdain. What a wretched woman. Men seem to like this kind of woman the most, the easiest to deceive. When I see her, my hands itch. I really want to whip her a few times. Xiao Xian chuckled. Only a brainless man would fall for someone like her, so who cares about him? True. The two women exchanged a knowing look and laughed. Xiao Xian, concerned that Ding Xiang might be deceived by Xiao Wei's shameless demeanor, shared the history of their grudge. Ding Xiang, outraged, sympathized. You're so innocent and kind. It's no wonder you were bullied so badly by them. Fortunately, everything is in the past now. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1494, Anger, I knew it. No matter how I look at her, I don't like her. She is indeed not a good person. Xiao Xian smiled. Only someone as smart as you can tell what is going on. Ding Xiang smiled and said, she only spoke 3 sentences, and I already knew that she was AB'TCH. She's not much, but fortunately, she doesn't know how to read the situation. Even if I ignore her, she can still speak so enthusiastically alone. As she spoke, she raised her eyebrows. How did such a person get into the marriage escort team? She must have caused a lot of trouble along the way, right? I think she has a lot of malice towards you and is very indignant. Such a person is despicable and shameless. Sister, you have to be careful. Don't let Lord Xiao be schemed against by her. I think if she could make you sad by tricking Lord Xiao, she would be happy to do it. Xiao Xian was convinced. Ding Xiang was so straightforward. Xiao Wei was not only happy to do it, but she had already done it. She just failed. However, what happened that night could not be mentioned. If it spread, it would be equivalent to ruining Xiao Wei's reputation. At that time, it would be self-defeating, and he would have to give her an explanation. Sister, you're right. I was also on guard. Fortunately, my husband isn't muddle-headed. Ding Xiang was reminding Xiao Xian with good intentions. Hearing Xiao Xian's words, she knew that both of them were not on good terms with Xiao Wei. She smiled. Lord Xiao is indeed the primus, different from other people. Soon, it was time for dinner. There was no village or shop. Dinner was nothing more than roasted meat, boiled water to make tea, and cooked a pot of porridge. If they were lucky, they could get some green vegetables and bones to make a pot of soup. If they were unlucky, they could only drink a bowl of porridge and a bowl of tea to relieve their boredom. When Ding Xiang and the others came out, the dry rations they brought were still very fresh. Although they were hard and could be used as bricks to smash people, they tasted delicious after being soaked in meat soup. After dinner, Ding Xiang ignored Xiao Wei who was buzzing around like a fly, so she took Xiao Xian for a walk and walked around for a while before they came back. Xiao Wei had not recovered from her leg injury yet, so she could not follow him at all. She could only watch as he gave up, feeling very resentful. She was sure that Xiao Xian had said bad things about her in front of Ding Xiang, so Ding Xiang disliked her and ignored her. When she saw Xiao Xian, she looked as if she wanted to eat her up. Seeing her expression, Xiao Xian guessed what she was thinking. She chuckled inwardly. She had told Ding Xiang a lot of things, but she was telling the truth. She had never wronged Xiao Wei. Xiao Xian did not explain her relationship with Ding Xiang either. It was not until they arrived at Huning City and moved into the station that Xiao Xian told Xiao Wei about Ding Xiang's identity with a smile. Hearing the blank look on Xiao Wei's face, Xiao Xian could laugh for half a year. Xiao Wei was so angry that her face turned pale. She gritted her teeth. So that was what happened. So Ms. Ding was from Xiaoding Village, and Xiao Xian had helped Ms. Ding a lot when she was still in Xiaoding Village. That was why Ms. Ding had been so close to her from the beginning. It was no wonder that Ms. Ding had a strange look in her eyes when she said some words about Xiao Xian. Thinking of her schemes, Xiao Wei felt both embarrassed and annoyed. That damn bitch had played her like a fool. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1495. Returning to Huning City. They finally arrived at Huning City safely. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally returned to Great Qin's territory. Although Huning City was still far from the capital, and it would take at least half a month to return to the capital, this was still their own territory. At least they could stay in an inn every night. If they were lucky, they could even stay in a courier station. It was much better than those in the wilderness. Everyone had been frightened along the way, so Xiao Yunduan ordered them to rest in Huning City for 3 days and then return to the capital. In these 3 days, everyone had to sell all the goods they brought back from Qingdi. Only very few valuable items were allowed to be stored in their respective luggage. They had to be covered up and not reveal their tracks. The imperial court had its own rules and regulations that could not be violated. If they openly transported goods back to the capital, it would be too unbecoming of the imperial court. When Ding Xiang found out about this, she waved her hand and called the shopkeepers and stewards under her to wrap up all the goods and give everyone the most favorable price. Everyone was overjoyed and praised General Meng's advanced righteousness. Meng Wanfu sent more than half of his men back to Baiming Pass, leaving only a dozen guards to stay in Huning City with Ding Xiang for a few days. They would return to Baiming Pass after Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian returned to the capital. Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian were very close to each other, so she showed Xiao Xian around Huning City enthusiastically, hoping that Xiao Xian could stay in Huning City for a while longer. The two of them also agreed to come and visit often in the future when they were free. The distance between the capital and Huning City was not very far. If they traveled by a light car, they would be able to arrive in 6 to 7 days. Anyway, they all had a lot of time. Knowing the relationship between Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian, Xiao Wei felt too embarrassed to approach Ding Xiang again. Although she wanted to join them, she realized it would only result in embarrassment. While Xiao Xian and Ding Xiang were out exploring, Xiao Wei refrained from following them. However, upon Xiao Xian's return to the station in the evening, Xiao Wei angrily stopped her to vent her frustration through complaints and mockery. Li Xia, Li Qiu, and Mianmian's expressions darkened, their desire to give Xiao Wei a few slaps evident. Despite the provocation, Xiao Xian had no time to engage with her. She started scolding Xiao Wei, but abruptly pushed her away and left. Furious, Xiao Wei struggled to catch her breath and went back to her room, unleashing her anger by cursing loudly and even smashing a few decorations. Qiu He, who had recovered from her injuries, tried to calm Xiao Wei down. Xiao Wei, seething with rage, questioned her in a low voice, "Why are those people so useless? The sluggish pace on the road has delayed us for so long, and they still couldn't shake them off." Filled with frustration, Qiu He shared her thoughts, realizing that a faster pace would make slipping away easier. The slower they were, the more stable and vigilant they became, making it challenging to execute any plan. Reflecting on the failed encounter with bandits, Qiu He comforted Xiao Wei before heading to the kitchen to fetch her some food. Despite plans for a banquet, Xiao Wei, still seething with anger, decided to dine alone in her room. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1496. She wants to kill you regardless. Even if she chose not to appear, nobody would take notice. The sight of those individuals was bothersome to her, including Ding Xiang and her husband, whom she found annoying. While Xiao Wei decided not to attend, Xiao Xian also didn't send anyone to invite her, as if she were inconsequential. The thought crossed her mind, was she truly dispensable? Fuming with anger, Xiao Wei nearly smashed the food in front of her. Despite Qiu He's attempts at persuasion, she reluctantly picked up her chopsticks to eat. Unexpectedly, at that very moment, Mianmian and Li Xia stormed in accompanied by A Yi, as well as Ding Xiang's maids, Qing Yun and Qing Shuang. Startled, Xiao Wei slammed her chopsticks on the table, questioning with a cold face. What are you attempting by barging into my room with so many people? Unfazed, nobody paid any attention to her. Li Xia poured soup into a bowl and placed it on the table, gently pushing it in front of Qiu He. With a polite tone, she said, Sister Qiu He, please eat. Perplexed, Xiao Wei looked at Qiu He for an explanation. Qiu He's expression shifted slightly. She stood still, neither moving nor speaking. Infuriated, Xiao Wei slammed the table, angrily shouting, Li Xia. What are you doing? What is the meaning of this? Li Xia continued to gaze at Qiu He without blinking. Considering the time we've spent together, is this the respect you show? Or perhaps, the soup I personally scooped is not worthy of you, Sister Qiu He? Frowning, Xiao Wei demanded, what is the purpose of all this? Explain. Li Xia replied, or is it that you don't have the courage to drink it at all? Qiu He's heart trembled, and her expression darkened even further. How did they know? It was impossible. Xiao Wei felt increasingly bewildered and suspicious. With a dark expression, she refrained from speaking. Li Xia picked up the soup bowl and extended it towards Qiu He. Sister Qiu He, please. Qiu He chuckled lightly, saying, this is quite unexpected. I didn't anticipate such high praise from you. Since you're so considerate, how can I refuse your goodwill? Smiling, Qiu He accepted the soup bowl, gently stirring its contents with a spoon. She scooped up a spoonful, blew on it, and brought it to her mouth. Suddenly, she hurled the bowl at Li Xia, swiftly turning and leaping towards the open window. Her movements were remarkably agile, and she vanished before everyone's eyes in the blink of an eye. Simultaneously, Ai pursued her. Qiao Wei's expression shifted, and she exclaimed, what are you attempting? Unaware of Qiu He's true identity, Qiao Wei assumed Qiu He had been exposed, and Li Xia and the others were deliberately causing trouble to capture her. Terrified, she wondered if Qiu He's exposure also meant her own. The fear consumed her. Li Xia and the others exchanged sympathetic glances. Miss Qiao, don't you understand? There's poison in this soup. You're trying to poison me. Miss Qiao, do you think harming you would require such elaborate tactics? There were numerous opportunities along the way. Li Xia sneered and declared, since you're having trouble grasping the situation, let me clarify. The poison in this soup was planted by Qiu He under the watchful eyes of those monitoring her. It was Qiu He who intended to poison Miss Qiao. That can't be possible. Qiao Wei screamed, her face turning ashen. She was genuinely taken aback. While initially deeming it implausible, Qiao Wei couldn't ignore the sincerity in Lixia's words. As Li Xia pointed out, if someone like Xiao Xian wanted her eliminated, they wouldn't resort to such elaborate schemes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1497, Truth. But how could Qiu He do this? Why? How dare she? Whose idea was this? Qiao Wei felt a sudden wave of terror, unable to comprehend what she had done to warrant such treatment. Seeing her dazed and confused state, Li Xia compassionately explained, Miss Qiao, this may seem perplexing. Why would Qiu He want to end your life? The answer lies in the strategic implications. Your demise here in the relay station would cast our lord and madams as the prime suspects. They would be defenseless. As an officially registered escort, your death would provide ample grounds for accusation. Our lord would find himself trapped, unable to escape prison. His reputation might be tarnished, and he could even face mortal danger. In the grand scheme, you're just a pawn strategically employed to target our lord and madam. Qiao Wei collapsed to the ground, a thud resonating through the room. All vitality seemed drained from her, her face drained of color as she stared ahead with vacant eyes. Impossible, this is impossible, she protested, but the chill in her heart grew with each passing moment. She wasn't naive. Many things became clear with a bit of thought. The rift between her and Xiao Xian was no secret, and the long-standing grudge between the Qiao family and Xiao Xian was well known. The ongoing conflict with Xiao Xian was a public spectacle, yet everyone chose to turn a blind eye. Recalling the heated argument with Xiao Xian today, she realized he had deliberately fueled the flames with provocative words. Anger clouded her judgment, prompting her to intervene and stop Xiao Xian from further quarreling. It was also He's idea to skip today's banquet and deliberately stir up trouble for them, but after the events that unfolded today, culminating in her being poisoned to death, did most people assume Xiao Xian was the culprit seeking revenge? Xiao Xian's audacity stemmed from the backing of Xiao Yunduan, the crown prince's favored minister. With such support, she recklessly pursued her agenda without concern for consequences. Li Xia was correct. Xiao Yunduan was the primary target of this intricate plot. Xiao Wei was merely a pawn meant to be sacrificed. Escaping suspicion for murder was a formidable challenge for Xiao Yunduan, given the tangled web of old and new grievances, coupled with the encouragement provided. The orchestrator behind the scenes wouldn't allow him an easy escape. It made sense. Xiao Wei bit her lips so hard it almost bled. It dawned on her why someone had sought her out, compelling her to join the escort team. The incentives presented were tempting. They wanted her to keep tabs on Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, stirring up trouble to eliminate them. In return, a life of wealth awaited her. Even though the person's identity seeking her out wasn't explicitly confirmed, the unmistakable hints led her to believe it was the fourth prince. She placed unwavering trust in the fourth prince's capabilities, relying on his assurance without doubt. Little did she know that this was not a path to a marriage alliance but an irreversible journey. No wonder he remained silent throughout the journey. She casually and indifferently brushed him off when she couldn't dissuade him any longer, knowing it was a path of no return. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1498. No other choice. In their perception, she seemed destined for demise from the very beginning to the end. Who would have the patience to engage in conversation with someone they considered already departed? A chill ran down Xiao Wei's spine, and her eyes welled up with tears. Lixia's voice cut through the air, cold and stern. Do you comprehend now? Your actions have brought significant trouble to our lord and lady. Those individuals may not be inclined to let you off lightly. Madam has declared that from today onward, Mian and Mian will be your constant companions. However, they are not at your beck and call, you cannot command them. Xiao Wei remained silent. She understood that Xiao Xian had instructed them to safeguard her life, but ultimately, Xiao Xian showed no concern for her own well-being. The protection extended only to herself and Xiao Yunduan. Gratitude eluded her, she only felt the bitter irony of the situation. Never had she imagined such a day in her relationship with Xiao Xian. Having spoken her piece, Li Xia exited the room with Li Qiu. Mian stayed behind. Mian would join later. Meanwhile, Ai failed to apprehend Xiu He alive. Cornered with no escape, Xiu He chose immediate suicide by poison. Fortunately, the courtyards were currently vacant. Ai swiftly reported the incident, and Sun Qian discreetly ordered someone to handle Xiu He's remains. A missing maidservant would draw no attention. After some time, 2 kitchen servants arrived in Xiao Wei's quarters. They shifted the table and arranged 2 dishes along with soup. Terrified and indignant, Xiao Wei couldn't fathom consuming anything. The sight of the dishes and soup intensified her sense of humiliation. Despite their seemingly immaculate appearance, she refrained from eating, and Mian refrained from urging her. Instead, Xiao Wei sat there, toying with her fingers, exuding a delicate and graceful aura. Xiao Wei seethed with anger. The impulse to reprimand Mian and release her frustration was strong, yet fear held her back. It was common knowledge that Mian was under the protection of Ai, an imposing figure with formidable strength and skills. Ai was stationed nearby, and any ill intentions towards Mian would undoubtedly incur his intervention. However, when Ai disciplined her, Xiao Xian remained uninvolved. Hatred consumed Xiao Wei. How had her life spiraled into such despair? The banquet concluded promptly. Given Xiao Yunduan and the others' fatigue, local officials showed understanding and did not prolong the event. Upon learning of Qiu He's demise, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan expressed no surprise. The fourth prince was evidently confident enough to orchestrate her downfall right under their noses. Capturing Qiu He alive had always been a daunting task. But Xiao Wei posed a significant challenge. Her safe arrival in the capital was imperative. Qiu He had strategically chosen the opportune moment for her assault. Qiao Xian's long-standing conflicts with her turned out to be a silver lining. With her second scheme thwarted, Xiao Wei could now put it behind her. Ding Xiang and Xiao Xian shared laughter in the parlor. Meanwhile, in the temporary study, Xiao Yunduan and Meng Wanfu sat across from each other, brewing and savoring tea. Their outward composure masked the gravity of their thoughts. Amidst the intense power struggle between the crown prince and the princes, even those not directly involved in the northern military affairs held their own insights. However, as the exposed relationship between Meng Wanfu and Xiao Yunduan unfolded, Meng Wanfu found himself without alternatives. Both of them were keenly aware of this reality. Originating from the same village, Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian, and Ding Xiang shared a common bond. Qiao Xian had rescued Ding Xiang, and in turn, they had collectively safeguarded Meng Wanfu. Even if Meng Wanfu aligned himself with the other princes, trust would remain elusive, shadowed by lingering suspicions. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1499, who's more compatible given their association with Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. Even if Meng Wanfu claimed neutrality, it was doubtful anyone would believe him. In light of this reality, there seemed little else to discuss. Meng Wanfu and Xiao Yunduan engaged in a discussion in the study, contemplating the path they would tread in the future. Xiao Yunduan was well aware that the princes were patiently waiting for the crown prince to heir. A single misstep on his part would provide them with an opportunity to create a significant controversy. The crown prince, as the heir, had to maintain an impeccable image, untarnished by even the smallest flaw. Any blemish, no matter how minuscule, could spread like ink in water, tarnishing his reputation. Yet, akin to how a vigilant thief could only avoid detection for so long, there was always a vulnerability. The crown prince, after all, was a mortal, not an immortal sage. Responsible for governing the country, countless eyes scrutinized his every move, and the possibility of error lingered. Xiao Yunduan advised, "There's no need to publicly announce our relationship. Carry on as usual, both now and in the future. The entire wedding entourage is aware of our connection. Once we return to the capital, news may spread swiftly, causing potential trouble. Exercise caution in your daily actions. In the shadows, cultivate a few trustworthy aides for gathering information about the northern region. However, utmost secrecy is paramount. Cease immediately if you sense any threat." Meng Wanfu smiled, expressing agreement. "I'll heed your advice. This approach suits me well. Whenever you require assistance, send word, and I'll be at your service." Xiao Yunduan reciprocated the smile. "Thank you." Acknowledging Ding Xiang's substantial contribution to Meng Wanfu's success, Xiao Yunduan, in his brief stay, had gained a comprehensive understanding of the unfolding events. Numerous detailed reminders were provided. In the conclusion, Xiao Yunduan compiled a list of books and requested Meng Wanfu to dispatch someone to procure them. Ordinarily pressed for time, he rarely found a moment for leisurely reading. Even his wife recognized the value of perusing books in idle moments. Meng Wanfu felt a burgeoning headache. Forcing a smile, he reluctantly accepted the extensive reading list. Their discussion persisted until the moon hung high in the sky before they rose to bid their farewells. Unexpectedly, as Qiao Xian and Ding Xiang approached to ask their subordinates to withdraw, smiles adorned their faces. What an intriguing coincidence. Upon returning to their quarters, Qiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan exchanged smiles. "Husband, if we set aside our roles as mere spectators, which among the 4 intermediate princes do you believe is most qualified to ascend the throne?" Such words bordered on treason, acceptable only within the confines of private conversations. Xiao Yunduan contemplated the question earnestly, gradually becoming more perplexed. He sighed, I've never contemplated this matter. Yet, as I reflect on it, I find there's no straightforward answer. In truth, there was no answer that could satisfy him. The crown prince was too compassionate. If pressured by the other princes, he would resist. However, when they displayed vulnerability and admitted defeat, he readily softened and pardoned them. As the potential future emperor, he surmised that the nefarious and hypocritical individuals might wholeheartedly welcome such a ruler. The fourth prince exhibited a sinister and narrow-minded demeanor. The second prince had predominantly resided in the military camp throughout the year, earning considerable renown among the generals. It was rumored that he paid little attention to trivial matters and frequently fostered camaraderie with the soldiers. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1500, Gamble. However, to ascend to rulership, one must adhere to the hierarchical structure. While the second prince may excel in leading troops to war, a qualified ruler cannot afford to dismiss trivial matters and casually fraternize with subordinates. Individuals who disregard the minutiae tend to be headstrong and resistant to restraint, a disastrous disposition for a ruler. As the legitimate son of the intermediate palace and the son of the current empress, the third prince carried himself with dignity. He possessed a gentle, scholarly demeanor and a wealth of knowledge. Widely connected in the Confucian community, he held the second-best reputation among officials and Confucian scholars, following only the crown prince. However, Xiao Yunduan discovered an intriguing detail. In his pursuit of a tea set he fancied, the third prince had commissioned craftsmen repeatedly, investing 3 years and over 60,000 taels of silver. Observing Xiao Yunduan's bewildered expression, Qiao Xian was taken aback. Her initial query had been a whimsical one, not anticipating her husband's transformation into a fiendish strategist. Husband, I didn't mean to say that casually or indifferently. In fact, it's entirely inconsequential. Don't dwell on it too much. Qiao Xian gently pulled at Xiao Yunduan's sleeve. Returning to the present, Xiao Yunduan managed a forced smile. I didn't dwell on it much, but I thought of something else. Relieved to see clarity in his eyes again, Qiao Xian sighed and changed the subject with a smile, guiding him towards a moment of rest. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Ding Xiang found it challenging to bid farewell to Qiao Xian. Mian Mian and Yi, too, felt a tinge of sadness. Born and raised in Huning City, they doubted they'd return in the future. Despite lacking fond memories, it remained their hometown. Go to. Ever since the day she narrowly escaped death by poisoning at the hands of Qiao He, Qiao Wei underwent a sudden transformation. She became quiet and well-behaved, isolating herself in her room each day. No longer did she cause a commotion or seek out trouble. Qiao Xian instructed Mian Mian and Yi to remain vigilant, emphasizing the need to keep a close eye on Qiao Wei and prevent any harm befalling her. As the troop disappeared around the corner, Ding Xiang looked at Meng Wanfu and smiled. Meng Wanfu proceeded to share with Ding Xiang the details of the discussion between Xiao Yunduan and himself. To his relief, Ding Xiang did not object. Contemplating their inevitable involvement with Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian, Ding Xiang decided to take a calculated risk. If they emerged victorious, a lifetime of wealth and glory awaited them. If they failed, they had ample time before the capital's changes affected their circumstances. This window allowed them to set up quietly and retreat unscathed. As long as they secretly arranged a retreat, they could face the future confidently. With resources at their disposal, they need not worry about living a carefree life. The world was vast, and communication and information transmission were rudimentary. The likelihood of being discovered after changing their appearance and starting anew was nearly negligible. Furthermore, they were merely peripheral figures. If they chose to escape, it mattered little to whomever the new ruler might be, he wouldn't invest much effort in pursuing them. Yet, Ding Xiang harbored a hope that the day of their escape would never come. If it did, she wished to be alongside Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan, ensuring a life less monotonous. I've had many conversations with Sister Qiao and learned a lot about the village. Old Meng, I truly want to return and see it. Ding Xiang chuckled. Considering the circumstances of the Meng family, Meng Wanfu agreed, certainly. Also, help me go back and teach them a lesson. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1501. Send someone back. Ding Xiang chuckled and pondered for a moment before speaking. I suddenly have no desire to return. However, sending a few individuals back seems fitting. It's crucial for those people to know we're still alive. Agreed. Meng Wanfu responded without hesitation. Ding Xiang burst into laughter. It's settled then. She promptly instructed Zhou Chong, Qing Yun, and Qing Lan to bring along 12 personal guards. Laden with a considerable stack of banknotes and a meticulously crafted list, they also carried top-notch wolf skins, fox skins, beautiful jade carvings, and a box of gems. Riding straight to Yuzhong, they were on their way. After reconsideration, the couple altered their plans. Ding Xiang opted to send someone back to visit her parents, putting on a show of prestige in Shouting Village, but they would not venture to the Meng family. All the Meng's Bei families shared the same sect, and their population thrived. The situation was intricate, and it was only their branch that had plotted against Meng Wanfu in the past, not the entire family clan. Severing ties with the entire clan would be self-destructive, erasing their roots and fostering fear and prejudice among the people. It was certainly not the optimal choice. To impart a lesson to the two families that wronged them, others were unaware of the past details. Confronting them would be challenging, considering their limited understanding of the internal dynamics of the Meng family. Hence, it was wiser to let Meng Wanfu address the situation himself in the future, a more satisfying endeavor. Not only did Ding Xiang's party avoid Meng's Bei, but they refrained from uttering a word about Meng Wanfu. On the contrary, Zhou Chong, Qing Yun, and the others traveled in nimble carriages, reaching Yuzhong Province City half a month later. It was already the end of September. At the end of September, Yuzhong Province still embraced warmth, in stark contrast to Huning City where the winds had grown cold. There, frost clung to every morning and night, sending shivers down one's spine. Go to Ko. This season marked Yuzhang's prime, adorned with the jubilation of the harvest. Securing lodging in a province inn, they reserved a courtyard for a 2-day stay. Over these days, they meticulously procured items listed by Madame Ding Xiang. Since the intention was to return and make a grand display, they opted for an extravagant affair. Given the distance from Huning City, it made more sense to acquire various gifts in the province city. Each person went their separate ways. They purchased 50 to 60 pieces of high-quality silk and satin, 36 pieces of porcelain, jade, and other adornments. Additionally, they acquired 2 sets of 16 embroidered screens made with precious wood. The remainder included jewelry, spices, tea leaves, cubulos, donkey hide gelatin, flour glue, abalone, and an array of other items. 5 carriages were hired in the province city to transport this considerable load. Embarking from the province city that morning, they reached Heshan County, spending the night at the county inn. Early the next morning, they set forth with a special destination, Shouting Village. Upon their arrival, the village was buzzing with activity, with families preparing breakfast. Smoke wafted from kitchen chimneys, and the sounds of chickens crowing filled the air, creating a lively atmosphere. The more lively, the better, it attracted more people. Everyone in the group exchanged glances, sharing laughter. Over 10 strangers, clad in vibrant attire and mounted on horses, led a few large carriages into the village. The spectacle and grandeur captivated the attention of villagers who quickly noticed their arrival. Wow, they must be heading to the Shao family's first section again. Look at those carriages, they must have brought back a treasure trove of goodies. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1502. It's Ding Xiang. Is Miss Qiao back? Sigh, I couldn't be more envious. Naturally, everyone assumed they were heading to the first section of the Shao family. Though accustomed to this sight, the villagers couldn't help but sigh with envy each time. Unexpectedly, upon entering the village, the convoy came to a halt. Zhou Chong dismounted, respectfully cupped his fists at a farmer, and inquired, "Could you kindly direct us to Ding Xiang's parents' residence and Xiao Yanduan's family? The first section of the Xiao family is right over there. The largest house belongs to them." "What did you mention just now?" Ding Xiang? Coincidentally, this farmer was also a member of the Ding clan and was closely acquainted with Ding Xiang's family. By all accounts, Ding Xiang should address him as a cousin. Hearing Ding Xiang's name, he was taken aback and asked in confusion. Zhou Chong explained, "Yes, indeed. Ms. Ding, also known as Ding Xiang, is our madam. Our madam mentioned that her mother is Ms. Zhou, and her father is named Ding Erzhu. Where can we find the Ding family?" "What? It's really Ding Xiang!" the farmer exclaimed, his mouth agape, taking a while to collect himself. "Go to." The surrounding villagers, witnessing the spectacle, immediately gathered and erupted. "What? Ding Xiang? Which Ding Xiang? My mother is Ms. Zhou, and my father is Ding Erzhu. Isn't she the granddaughter of 5th Grandpa Ding who passed away 2 years ago? Pft, pft. She definitely didn't die. Otherwise, why would someone be looking for her? Back then, she was nowhere to be found." "Yes. What did he just call her? Miss Ding? When did Ding Xiang become a lady? Oh my, what's happening? Is Ding Xiang back? Is she in the carriage? Why isn't she coming out? Ding Xiang, Ding Xiang." A voice called out to the carriage. Qing Yun smiled and explained, "Our madam hasn't returned yet. She's currently occupied and couldn't make it. She misses her parents, so she sent us subordinates back to visit on her behalf." The crowd erupted in excitement, the commotion intensifying. "Oh my goodness, it's really Ding Xiang. Where has she been all this time? Is she wealthy? Hey, what's going on?" "Exactly. It's quite peculiar. Regardless, she's undoubtedly rich. Look at these brightly dressed servants, the carriages, and horses. She must have struck it rich. Sigh, I'm so envious." The animated crowd, buzzing with curiosity and excitement, grew denser. A commotion echoed, and someone shouted, "Here they come. 5th Grandpa Ding. 5th Grandma Ding," and so forth. The crowd instinctively made way as they witnessed 5th Grandpa Ding, 5th Grandma Ding, and a sizable group rushing over with flushed faces and sparkling eyes. Evidently, someone had hurried to share the news, prompting their swift arrival. Upon spotting the 10 individuals, 10 horses, and numerous carriages, 5th Grandma Ding exclaimed, "Oh my!" She slapped her thigh, so exhilarated that she nearly fainted. 5th Grandpa Ding and his family were overcome with a mix of anger and greed. Evidently, they had already assumed ownership of everything. 5th Grandpa Ding remained somewhat composed. He halted the family members on the verge of clambering onto the carriage. It was too precarious, and besides, why were they eyeing their belongings as if they were their own? Naturally, they needed to step back for now. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1503, Where are Madam's Parents? 5th Grandpa Ding cleared his throat, casting a glance at Zhou Chong and the others. Assuming an air of dignity, he inquired, "Where's Ding Xiang? Where is she now? Why hasn't she returned home after such a long time? Doesn't she realize her family would worry about her? How absurd." 5th Grandma Ding thought of her second son and daughter-in-law, who had turned unfilial because of Ding Xiang, and a surge of resentment flooded her heart. Sneering, she added spitefully, "Exactly. This unfilial girl, she, all right. 5th Grandpa Ding interjected, speaking vaguely, "Let's not dwell on the past. Isn't the child more sensible now and knows how to be filial? When she returns, we can have a cordial conversation and admit our mistakes." You're not allowed to speak ill of her. Fifth Grandma Ding snorted, but she had resolved to torment Ding Xiang and teach her a lesson. She intended to control her and make her listen. Before Zhou Chong, Qin Yun, and the others arrived, they had heard their madam casually mention the situation at home with a smile, preparing them mentally. At that time, hearing this, they couldn't help but feel indignant and angry for their madam. Now, their fury intensified. Their madam was an exceptional individual. They hadn't expected her to endure such humiliation at home. This wretched old woman's family were truly leeches. A despicable, malicious, and shameless bunch of leeches. They sought the benefits of their madam but still scolded and humiliated her like this. Truly shameless. Fifth Grandpa Ding gestured dismissively. All right, you guys hop onto the carriage and follow me home. We'll discuss this further once we're home. Zhou Chong and the others sneered inwardly. Home, my foot. What does your family have to do with our madam? These people were madam's blood relatives. Yet, they exhibited no concern for her. The moment they spoke, it was criticism and scorn. How shameless. Zhou Chong deliberately gazed at Fifth Grandpa Ding with feigned confusion and smiled. Oh dear, who is this old man of yours? Our madam has already clarified things for us. Her father isn't that old. Qin Yun chimed in with mockery. Madam mentioned that her parents care for her and dote on her, but I didn't hear you express any concern for our madam. Who are you? Are you a pair of imposters? The villagers erupted into laughter. Many spectators relished the spectacle. Those with a bit more discernment likely understood that it wouldn't be so simple for Fifth Grandpa Ding and Fifth Grandma Ding to acquire these items today. Even if Ding Xiang had sent someone back, it wasn't to bestow them with benefits but likely to exact revenge. Indeed, everyone recalled how Ding Xiang was forced to leave by them. The girl couldn't endure it any longer and was frightening when she exploded. How could she suddenly become good-tempered again? What did you say? Who are you calling imposters? Damn girl, believe it or not, I'll sell you. Fifth Grandma Ding's finger nearly poked at Qinjian's face. Qin Yun recoiled, slapping her hand away. Show some manners. Ding Dalong, Ding Sanlang, and their daughter-in-law grew so furious that they began hurling curses at Ding Xiang. What damn girl, and unfilial. None of their words were polite. Shut up. Fifth Grandpa Ding's face reddened. He halted his family, furrowing his brow. Your servants. How can you speak in such a manner? It's not appropriate to air grievances in public. Let's go home first. I am Ding Xiang's biological grandfather. Everyone in the village knows. Let's go. Zhou Chong sneered. Where are our madam's parents? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1504, Distorting the Truth. Fifth Grandpa Ding was left speechless. This time, the murmurs in the crowd grew even louder. Essentially, everyone grasped that Ding Xiang had genuinely encountered some stroke of luck outside. She had sent someone back to seek retribution. The family of Fifth Grandpa Ding would likely have a challenging time today, facing significant embarrassment. Fifth Grandpa Ding hadn't yet formulated a response when someone in the crowd spoke up on his behalf. A voice proclaimed loudly, Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou. They left with nothing. Shut up. Shut up. Are you the only one who knows how to speak, huh? Fifth Grandma Ding rolled her eyes and scolded the onlookers. She then turned her ire on Zhou Chong. Those two unfilial things only care about their own pleasure and abandoned us a long time ago. Unfilial wretches. Why are you still mentioning them? Don't mention them again. You people. She shot a fierce glare at the villagers observing the commotion and issued a warning. What business is it of yours? Only you have a mouth and can talk. Don't spout nonsense if you don't understand. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. If you continue sizing up our family and think we're easy to bully, you'll regret it. The woman who had spoken earlier pursed her lips and mumbled something under her breath, but she dared not say anything more. The others caught wind of fifth Grandma Ding's threat. They forced smiles and found it difficult to speak. This old woman was a troublemaker. Ding Xiang must have struck gold. Bringing back numerous large carts and horses constituted a substantial fortune. The Ding family likely eyed her with red-hot envy. If things went awry and they couldn't lay claim to it, anyone daring to speak up would undoubtedly face a confrontation from the other family. Why stir up such trouble? Observing fifth Grandma Ding's two daughters-in-law, they immediately began disparaging Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou. Go to. What do you mean by leaving with nothing? No way. It was clearly the two of them who were lazy and let father and mother scold them before running away in a fit of pique. That's right. They caused a lot of trouble at home. They were lazy and greedy, making father and mother angry. Our two families have done countless jobs for them, but we didn't complain. They left just like that and never showed filial piety to their parents again. They're ruthless. That is true. The villagers collectively stood there in stunned silence. Could they really go this far? It was a rare sight for someone to be so righteous and self-righteous. Zhou Chong, Qingyun, and the others were on the brink of exploding from anger. If it weren't for the fact that it was inappropriate, Qingyun would have spat in their faces. Qinglan suddenly cried out. She slapped her head and said with a smile, "Oh, I have a bad memory. How could I forget? Before we came here, Madam had already sent someone back to ask around. Madam said that her parents are now working for Lord Xiao in the Zhang village. We are on the wrong path. Why don't we go to Mr. Xiao's house to pay our respects? Let's go to the Zhang village first. We will visit Mr. Xiao's house later." The chorus from fifth Grandma Ding's two daughters-in-law came to an abrupt halt. Qingyun also giggled and clapped her hands. That's right, that's right. That's the best. When you see our old master and madam, ask them. Won't you know everything? Zhou Chong sneered. It's naturally not without evidence. There must be records, right? One look and you'll know. It can't be fake. As he spoke, he signaled for the coachman to turn around. The group of people shouted and prepared to leave. Fifth Grandpa Ding and his family were dumbfounded. Ding Dalong and Ding Sanlang stomped their feet, about to rush forward to snatch the horses, when they were kicked out by the guards and scolded, "Are your Ding family bandits? How dare you rob in broad daylight? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know your report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1505, General's Wife, What Robbery? Who is robbing? Seeing this, fifth Grandma Ding decided to throw a tantrum. She ran to the front of a carriage and sat on the ground. She slapped the ground and scolded, "The heavens have struck me, and I've lost my conscience. No matter what, I'm still a bloodline elder. That couple has brought a large family to eat and drink for so many years. What's wrong with me wanting this wretched girl's food now? If you want to leave, leave. Leave these carriages for me. Otherwise, if you have the ability, run over me. I want to see if you dare." The two daughters-in-law looked at each other, rolled their eyes, and ran to mother-in-law, pretending that they were trying to persuade her. But, in fact, all three of them stopped the wagon. They were criticizing Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou's family, calling them heartless and unfilial. Even Ding Xiang was scolded, saying that she, a girl, had run away from home without a word and even married someone without any matchmaking. She was really too shameless. She might be someone else's concubine, and the Ding family will be humiliated. It was no wonder she didn't come back. It's 80% likely. She's too ashamed. That is true. Zhou Chong, Qingyun, and the others were furious. They really couldn't listen to this anymore. Qingyun went over and kicked the third section of the family's daughter-in-law's chest, causing her to fall to the ground. She placed her hands on her hips and scolded, "If you two gossipers dare to scold me again, try it. Believe it or not, they'll arrest you and put you in jail." Qinglan sneered. Although our madam had a hard time when she was young and no one doted on her, happiness comes after suffering. She was lucky enough to save our general by chance, so our general married her. Now, she's the wife of a third-grade general. Heh, you dare to humiliate the wife of a third-grade general. I think you're tired of living. Qing Yun said hatefully, what does such a person need this mouth for? I think it's better to cut off this tongue. Everyone was in an uproar. Source. Com, updated on. What? General's wife. What? Is that real? This is too, everyone was dumbfounded. Initially, when they heard that Ding Xiang was wealthy, everyone was stunned. As Ding Xiang and her aunt spoke, though their words were unpleasant, everyone secretly nodded in agreement. Furthermore, they felt enlightened. That was right. Ding Xiang used to be quiet, thin, and small. She was not outstanding. When she couldn't take it anymore and exploded, everyone was shocked and looked at this girl seriously. They thought to themselves that she finally had some temper. It was rare. Later on, they thought that she was dead and even sighed sympathetically. Unexpectedly, she had struck it rich. However, she was deemed useless. Apart from being fortunate enough to be someone's concubine and meet a good old master and a good mistress, what else could she do? But, the general's wife. Wasn't this too ridiculous? No matter what, they could not connect Ding Xiang with the general's wife. Zhou Chong sneered. How can we joke about such a thing? Are you tired of living? Don't believe me? Heh, let's go, the two of you. He pointed at fifth Grandma Ding and her daughter-in-law. Get up now and follow me to the county office. I'll say the same in front of the county magistrate. He took out something that looked like a token and shook it. He sneered. I don't think you have much knowledge and don't know what it is, but the county magistrate must know it. Get up and leave. Everyone subconsciously breathed lightly, and their expressions could not help but show some respect. The way they looked at Zhou Chong and the others also changed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1506, Threat. Fifth Grandma Ding and her daughters-in-law were also dumbfounded. They were also a little uneasy. Of course, it was impossible for the two of them to get up and rush to the county governmental office with Zhou Chong. The third section of the family's daughter-in-law stammered, We were just guessing and said that. Who asked her to be unfilial? She didn't come back to see the old man for so long and didn't say that she would send something back, that is true. Qing Yun wished she could step forward and kick them again. She said coldly, the general's wife has a noble status and can suppress the vulgarities and foul words from your mouths. However, if it were ordinary businessmen and rich people who have no power or influence, wouldn't you have spread rumors and slander for nothing? How can you make up for it if the reputation is ruined? Qin Lan raised her eyebrows and berated, you slandered the general's wife and even played the blame game. You won't let this go so easily. Just wait and see. This matter isn't over. The two daughters-in-law panicked even more. They opened their mouths and wanted to argue endlessly, but they did not dare to. However, fifth Grandma Ding shamelessly slapped the ground and said, I don't care about the general's wife, this madam, and that madam. Even if she has become an immortal ascension and ascended to the heavens, she's still my granddaughter. As a grandmother, so what if I want something from my granddaughter? She's the general's wife, so she can't be unfilial. Otherwise, I'll sue the officials and see if she has any face. The eyes of the first section of the family and the third section of the Ding family lit up with excitement, as if they had found a way to become rich for a long time. That's right. An official valued reputation very much, especially filial piety. If she was unfilial, she might not even be able to continue being an official. How could the imperial court tolerate an unfilial official? Source. Com, updated on. Cowhee. Was that wretched girl so lucky? There was no way she could shake off the entire family and enjoy life alone. Go ahead and sue them, Zhou Chong and the others scoffed in anger. Our madam's family has long left with nothing. I want to see how you sue them. If you can't sue them, it will be extortion. Go to jail. Qing Lan said indignantly, why waste time talking with them? Let's go. Qing Lan and Qing Yun went to the first section of the family to pay their respects. Zhou Chong, on the other hand, was too disinterested to say anything more. He had already delivered a decisive blow, and the family would soon realize that their madam was thriving. Regrets and tears would surely follow. Although the process of delivering this blow was distasteful, there was a certain satisfaction in witnessing their frustration. Despite their unwarranted aggression, they had gained nothing in the end. Following Zhou Chong's command, a few brothers stepped forward and unceremoniously moved the three troublemakers aside without offering any explanations. The father and son of the Ding family were anxious, eager to intervene, but Zhou Chong firmly held on to fifth Grandpa Ding, rendering him immobile. His two sons each received a swift kick and rolled to the side in a pitiful state, wailing, "Someone is hitting someone. Someone is coming to our shouting village to bully us. Everyone, help stop them." The villagers instinctively withdrew upon hearing this. Who would be foolish enough to get involved in a family matter of fifth Grandpa Ding's family? While they might enjoy watching a spectacle, they were more inclined to support Ding Xiang, the general's wife. Moreover, the Ding family had a reputation for trouble, and few were willing to associate with them. Considering the circumstances, intervening seemed imprudent. Every family had its differences and disputes, but subjecting the second section of the family to such ruthless treatment was beyond the norm for any ordinary family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1507. No one can take it away. Qing Yun and Qing Lan paid their respects and swiftly departed, accompanied by Zhou Chong and the others. Fifth Grandma Ding, consumed by anger and anxiety, found herself seated on the ground, unleashing a torrent of scoldings upon the second section of the family for perceived unfilial behavior, ingratitude, and even accusing them of inviting divine retribution. In her frustration, she extended her displeasure to the onlooking villagers, chastising them for their perceived cold-bloodedness, envy, and unwillingness to witness the prosperity of others. Her tirade continued, blaming the villagers for their alleged lack of assistance. The villagers, taken aback by her outburst, responded with boos and gradually departed. Is she expecting our help after berating us? What does she want us to do, join her in making a scene? Exactly. What kind of person does that? Well, it's no surprise. Have a look at what they've done before. No one else can be blamed for their predicament. They're just reaping what they sowed. I haven't seen a single penny from them, and now she calls us envious? What exactly are we envious of? Zhu and his wife left with nothing. It seems like they still have a lot. Fifth Grandma Ding's escalating anger led her to direct her ire at Miss Fang. Rising from the ground, she intended to confront the first section of the Xiao family and settle the score with Miss Fang. Source: Com, updated on. Fifth Grandpa Ding intervened, reprimanding her and instructing his son and daughter-in-law to restrain her. Go home, go home. What more do you want to create a commotion about? Ms. Fang can't stand our family's success, and am not finished with her. Why shouldn't I confront her? She's the one who influenced our second son and his wife. Shut up, we'll talk when we get back. Ding Dalong and Ding Sanlang urgently urged her to silence, forcibly pulling her back without offering any explanations. The Xiao family's first section was not a force to be taken lightly. Antagonizing them could make the entire village their adversary, and the Dings had no intention of prolonging their stay in the village. If fifth Grandma Ding vented her frustration on Ms. Fang, it could jeopardize the enrollment of village children in the school. The repercussions could extend beyond personal consequences. They might find themselves burdened with the yearly responsibility of maintaining white-haired wigs and attire. It must be Ms. Fang. Fifth Grandma Ding exclaimed indignantly as she closed the door. They're scheming to dominate our family, unable to tolerate our progress. This isn't over. Fifth Grandpa Ding cast a glance at her but remained silent. Ding Dalong, Ding Sanlang, and their daughter-in-law refrained from arguing, their agreement evident. They directed their curses at the Shao family's first section, particularly targeting Miss Fong. If Miss Fong were to learn about this, she would likely be left speechless. After a brief episode of scolding, Ding Sanlang's daughter-in-law, wearing a pained expression, remarked, "It's a shame about those carriages and over 10 horses. Who knows what treasures are inside? Sigh, such a waste. And those horses, how much money could they fetch?" She sighed, and the others shared in her sense of loss. Indeed, what a pity. Looking ahead, these possessions would become part of their family, providing enough resources to sustain them for a lifetime. However, everything was gone in an instant. Who could endure such a loss? "I don't care," Fifth Grandma Ding declared coldly. "These belongings belong to our family. No one has the right to take them away. They went to Jianghu village, right? Let's go find our second son now. Even if he left with nothing, I brought him into this world and sacrificed for him. If he dares deny me what I deserve, he'll stay in his house and never leave. Let's see if he can bear to let me starve to death." In the past, Fifth Grandma Ding had made a scene but was overpowered. Despite her anger, she had to reluctantly give up. However, the shock she experienced today was too overwhelming. Several carts filled with possessions, over 10 horses, and a retinue of servants, these were all part of their family. Why should she let her second son and his family enjoy the benefits? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Ding Dalong and his brother immediately regained their enthusiasm. Mother is right. Let's go now. If second brother is truly heartless, let's all stay at their house. Absolutely. If he has the guts, let him face us. Fifth Grandpa Ding found himself in an awkward position, feeling the weight of embarrassment. Observing his discomfort, Fifth Grandma Ding, in a fit of anger, exclaimed, "What's with that face? Are you still feeling ashamed? Our family's dignity has been thoroughly trampled by his family. How can we have any dignity left? How many people in the village are decent? They might be ridiculing us behind our backs. Mocking us for having an unfilial son. Mocking you for being a feeble father and grandfather. You can't even reign in your own son and granddaughter. Do you have any self-respect left?" Fifth Grandpa Ding, infuriated and humiliated, shot a glare at Fifth Grandma Ding, who snorted dismissively. "If you don't go to the Jianghu village today, we're going on our own." Ding Dalong chimed in, "You're right, father. We can't let others mock us any longer. We should quickly reconcile with second brother's family. Isn't it great that our family is intact? It was all a misunderstanding. Second brother is just too stubborn. If he hadn't acted hastily, things wouldn't have turned out like this." "That's true," added Ding Sanlang. "Second brother is too impulsive. He left in a fit of anger and won't return. Leaving with nothing? I was merely pushing him to admit his mistake and come back soon. Who would have thought he'd actually leave? I believe second brother had already contemplated it and intentionally ran away. I agree." "Exactly. Why would he be so heartless otherwise? Who could be so furious with their own parents? It's absurd. Maybe Ms. Zhou influenced him. Our sister-in-law may seem sincere and weepy, but she might have a hidden hand in all this." The two daughters-in-law of the Ding family also expressed their sentiments. The envy intensified when they contemplated Ms. Zhou, once subjected to their mistreatment, now living a life of abundance that surpassed their imagination. Previously, envy had its roots, but now Ding Xiang had ascended to the position of the general's wife. That meant Ms. Zhou had become the mother of the general's wife. Wouldn't she enjoy even greater prosperity in the future? And what about them? As the biological aunts of the general's wife, why should they not share in the benefits? Fifth Grandpa Ding, swayed by the words of his sons and daughters-in-law, especially when his son's remark struck close to home, felt a pang of regret. Even a fierce tiger would not harm its own cubs. In truth, he hadn't intended to cast his son out with nothing. It was a rash statement made in the heat of the moment. As a father, he cared about his reputation. All he wanted was for their second son and the others to return, apologize, and put the matter behind them. Little did he know, fifth Grandpa Ding harbored deep regrets for not handling the situation differently. Reflecting on the past, he thought he should have delegated the task to his eldest or third son to invite them back, seeking reconciliation and extending forgiveness. Why hadn't he considered that option then? Determined to go to the Jianghu village, not for material gain but for the unity of the family, fifth Grandpa Ding was taken aback when, on the way, they encountered Zhou Chong and the others riding horses and driving carriages back to Shouting Village. The entire family was left dumbfounded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Upon reaching the Jianghu village, Ding Erza's yard was already locked. A neighbor, with a smile, informed them that Ding Erzhu and his wife, along with their children and mother-in-law, had taken a carriage to Shouting Village. Fifth Grandpa Ding's eyes gleamed with hope. Did he come back to find us? The neighbor, familiar with this peculiar family, rolled his eyes and chuckled. You've already severed ties. How could that be? They went to Lord Xiao's house. Fifth Grandpa Ding was nearly incensed. The neighbors, unconcerned, continued to gossip and laugh about how elder brother Ding and sister-in-law were relishing life. Ding Xiang's success had brought them many valuable gifts. Fifth Grandma Ding's heart pained. Those possessions were rightfully hers. Let's go back. Let's go back. She had to return and find them. Amid the neighbors' laughter, the family trudged back in frustration, thoroughly exhausted. Upon re-entering the village, someone awaited them, urging them to hurry to the ancestral hall where the land officer and elders were waiting. Fifth Grandpa Ding secretly rejoiced, thinking it was an opportune moment to clarify the matter. It might save him some trouble if he could bring his second son back to the family. Unexpectedly, the land officer and the patriarch issued a stern warning. Ding Xiang is now the wife of a general, a third-ranked general's wife. This is her blessing and the village's pride. If you dare cause trouble and incur the general's displeasure, staying in the village won't be an option. Expressions of fifth Grandpa Ding and his family instantly shifted. Even fifth Grandma Ding couldn't bear such harsh words and refrained from acting recklessly. If they were truly ousted, where would they go? Without the support of the clan, anyone could trample on them, and if they suffered, they would have to endure in silence. Fifth Grandpa Ding's aged face flushed with embarrassment. He reluctantly said, "How could we cause trouble? There's no such intention. This is because our granddaughter has found success. We are happy too. And second son, your family should come back. Your mother and I are old. Are you truly so heartless? Didn't you make mistakes back then? You insisted that we mistreated Ding Xiang and even talked about leaving with nothing. I thought it was a jest, expecting you to return after a few days. Who knew you took it seriously? Look, Ding Xiang is doing well, isn't she? You wronged us." Fifth Grandma Ding scoffed. "What's the use of saying this? Will they listen? I'm afraid they've long wished to move out and enjoy themselves. Now that they have the chance, why aren't they leaving? They've long held disdain for us and are not on our side." Ding Erza's heart softened at his father's words. However, when he heard his mother's remarks, his heart instantly turned cold. Seeing the old woman about to take a harmful course of action, fifth Grandpa Ding reprimanded her repeatedly. "Shut up, don't say so much." Ding Erzhu, his face pale, spoke in a trembling voice. Ding Xiang has found success, and it's due to her luck. This child has endured much to achieve what she has today. That doesn't excuse any wrongdoings. What a joke. What family would joke about casting out their son and daughter-in-law with nothing? Everyone in our village witnessed what happened back then. I don't want to say more. If not for the villagers' help and Ms. Fang's family, we might not have survived long ago. What's the use of saying this now? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Second son. You, shut up. Fifth Grandpa Ding scolded sternly, fixing a glare on Fifth Grandma Ding. Fifth Grandma Ding was shocked and genuinely frightened. Her face turned cold, and she dared not utter a sound. No matter how domineering she could be, when the old man was truly angered, she wouldn't dare provoke him again. Fifth Grandpa Ding felt a pang of heartbreak. Second son, are you really determined not to forgive father and mother? Are you truly so heartless? Ding Erju offered a bitter smile and closed his eyes. Gazing at Fifth Grandpa Ding without blinking, he replied with seriousness, "Let me ask you, if Ding Xiang hadn't found success today, would you still insist on reconciling with us?" Fifth Grandpa Ding was stunned, a subconscious thought surfacing in his mind. That shouldn't be the case. Swiftly regaining his composure, his face flushed. He forced himself to remain composed. Of course, I must admit it. We're family, after all. It's just that this matter happened. Ding Erju smiled bitterly. I'm not naive. Ding Dalong was anxious. Second brother, are you trying to drive me to despair? If you push me to despair, won't you regret it? That's right. How can you be so heartless? Father and mother raised you for so many years for nothing? Ding Erza's heart grew even colder. Since I can remember, have I done any less work at home? Has our family contributed any less? If I must apologize, I've let Ding Xiang and her mother down. I've never let anyone else down. You. That's enough, the land officer interrupted, preventing Fifth Grandpa Ding and his family from joining in. He spoke unhurriedly, there's no need for further words. Leaving with nothing is a reality. Ding Erju, what do you think? I don't have any opinions. Let's leave it at that. It's still the same. You're not going to admit it, are you? True. Second son, you, alright, brother Ding, this is not a joke. Since it was decided at that time, it's not up to your family to go back on their word now. This doesn't make sense. From now on, this matter is not allowed to be mentioned again. You guys can live your own lives. I'm telling you, Ding Xiang is the glory of our village. If anyone dares to defame her or her parents, don't blame me for being rude. Fifth Grandpa Ding stared blankly at Ding Erju. Ding Erju lowered his head, feeling a deep sense of sorrow. What kinship? He shouldn't be pondering it at all. Looking at his father's gaze, the Ding family was anxious, but they dared not speak rashly. All eyes turned nervously and expectantly toward Fifth Grandma Ding. True to expectations, Fifth Grandma Ding did not disappoint. She gritted her teeth and said, if second son is truly heartless, we have nothing to say. Just consider it raising an ingrate. But no matter what, I gave him my life. Without me, how could he exist? He received benefits, so it's not too much for me to take a share, right? Zhou Chong responded coldly, if you don't understand what it means to leave with nothing, why don't you ask him properly? Benefits? Madam has already instructed that she won't give you a single thread. What does Madam's current situation have to do with you? Fifth Grandma Ding retorted angrily, you're just a servant. You have no right to speak. Zhou Chong shot back, that's what our madam told us. If you don't believe me, you can ask when our madam comes back. Our madam isn't free now, but she will return to check in. The land officer and the others exchanged glances. Initially considering being peacemakers and encouraging Ding Erju to provide some financial assistance to Fifth Grandpa Ding's family for resolution, they changed their minds after hearing Zhou Chong's words. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:11, Not going too far. Obviously, Ding Xiang had no intention of letting Fifth Grandpa Ding and his family off. She didn't even consider making any concessions. Given this stance, what else could they say? No one would risk the wrath of the wife of a third-grade general for the sake of individuals like 5th Grandpa Ding and 5th Grandma Ding. Moreover, they couldn't blame anyone but themselves for their current predicament. They had brought it upon themselves. The land officer spoke decisively. There are rules for everything, and these rules can't be violated. Otherwise, what will be the consequences? Brother Ding, refrain from saying anything. People must face the consequences of their actions. Don't you agree? 5th Grandpa Ding's face turned purple. The members of the Ding family were seething but dared not utter a word. It was evident they were unconvinced by these words, but no one had the audacity to contradict the land officer. Even 5th Grandma Ding could only glare fiercely at Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou, venting her frustrations silently. That settles it, the land officer concluded, inwardly sighing. In their hearts, everyone sighed, recognizing this as karma. No matter how accurate the old saying, who could predict which cloud in the sky would bring rain? Once, everyone had ridiculed the first section of the Shao family, but now? In the past, they had mocked Ding Erju and his wife as incompetent and cowardly. But now? Therefore, kindness was essential. Avoid going too far. Zhou Chong interjected, "Wait, land officer, I still have something to say." As one of Meng Wanfa's personal army vice-captains with an official position in the army, Zhou Chong, though just a 7th-grade lieutenant, held a status that commanded respect from the land officer and others. If he spoke, they wouldn't dare to disobey. The land officer hastily smiled and said politely, "Please speak." Zhou Chong pointed at 5th Grandma Ding's 2 daughters-in-law. These 2 long-tongued women publicly humiliated our madam. They have evil intentions and use vicious words. Land officer, shouldn't you give us an explanation? As subordinates, if we ignore such words, we have no right to stay in front of the general and madam. How could village gossip not spread quickly? The land officer and the others grasped the situation. Panic set in for the 2 daughters-in-law of the Ding family. I was just speaking casually, making guesses. I didn't say much later. I didn't mean any harm. You can't blame us for this. Zhou Chong responded coldly, just speaking casually. Making guesses? Not meaning any harm? Is that how you justify your innocence? Can I also claim you're cheating on us? What nonsense are you spouting? You're pushing us to our deaths. Do you even understand that words can lead to someone's demise? The land officer frowned. You gossiping women should have learned a lesson long ago. You can think what you want, but you can't spread baseless rumors. Can't you comprehend such a simple logic? Everyone, give yourselves 10 slaps and apologize. What? Qing Yun and Qing Lan stepped forward. Since you're defaming our madam, well, be the ones to deliver the slaps. They raised their hands and struck the 2 women. The resounding thwacks made everyone's hearts shudder and their scalps tingle. The 2 daughters-in-law of the Ding family were left reeling. They screamed in pain, instinctively attempting to evade the blows. Qing Yun scolded, "Try hiding. This is what you deserve. If you dare to hide, they'll have someone hold you down." Terrified, the 2 women remained still, not daring to move. 5th Grandma Ding couldn't bear it any longer. "Second son, you 2 are treating me so unfairly. Have you no humanity?" Ms. Zhou, teary-eyed, added, "Aren't they bullying my daughter with their slander? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 15:12, Asking for it. 5th Grandma Ding was furious. Choose your words carefully, Qing Lan warned coldly. You will face consequences for publicly insulting the general's wife's mother. 5th Grandma Ding was so frightened that she choked. She said angrily, "What? I'm her biological grandmother." "No," Qing Lan said. "Everyone in the village can testify that our madam has nothing to do with your family. You." Qing Yun and Qing Lan had initially aimed to teach these gossiping women a lesson in a nonchalant, casual manner, instilling fear to prevent them from provoking the general's wife's parents in the future. They intended to keep the punishment light. However, 5th Grandma Ding's provocation led them to unleash the full force of their anger. Every slap landed with a solid impact, causing 5th Grandma Ding and her daughter-in-law's mouths to bleed and swell. Even their teeth felt loose. After 10 slaps, their cheeks were so red and swollen that they could not speak. Witnessing this, the expressions of the villagers changed. Qing Lan stated coldly, "Remember this lesson. If you think our general's wife is far away and dare to act inappropriately, pray that our general's wife never returns. Otherwise, Qing Yun added nonchalantly, "We didn't want to teach you both such a harsh lesson, but you left us with no choice. Your mother-in-law started insulting us from the moment she opened her mouth. She went too far. It angered us, and we couldn't restrain ourselves any longer." 5th Grandma Ding's 2 daughters-in-law couldn't help but shoot resentful glances at her, further infuriating 5th Grandma Ding. The villagers, initially somewhat disgusted, found it hard to blame Qing Yun and Qing Lan. They believed Zhu and the others had gone too far and hadn't shown any respect. Upon hearing the explanation, the villagers couldn't fault Qing Yun and Qing Lan's actions. Ultimately, who could 5th Grandma Ding blame but herself? She truly brought it upon herself, no wonder. The drama concluded, and 5th Grandpa Ding's family left in defeat. Ms. Zhou sighed with relief internally. Excellent, that family would likely avoid causing any trouble in the future. Recalling the words Qinjian's daughter had spoken about not taking a step back from that family, Ms. Zhou couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. Whether or not these words had any impact on her husband, at least the current outcome aligned with her desires. Zhou Chong exchanged a few more words with the land officer. Afterwards, Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju departed, heading to the first section of the Xiao family. Ding Xiang distributed half of the gifts to Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju and the other half to the first section of the Xiao family. They also presented all the skins and gems they had acquired in Huning City to Ms. Fang. Ding Xiang wasn't the original occupant of this body, and her attachment to Ms. Zhou and Ding Erju was limited. She merely inhabited this body, and their connection was mainly through bloodlines. While she appreciated their efforts on her behalf, she viewed this pair of parents differently than real parents. Despite Ding Xiang's generous gifts, Ms. Fang hesitated to accept them. Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou insisted, so with a smile, Ms. Fang accepted the presents. Later, Ding Erju and his wife joined Ms. Fang for dinner at her home. Zhou Chong and the others visited the land officer and the chief, sharing their madam's story. As a result, they stayed with the first section of the Xiao family for the next 2 days. Whenever Ms. Zhou addressed Ms. Fang as sister-in-law, Zhou Chong and the others discreetly wiped their brows, recalling the times their madam referred to Madame Xiao as sister. Their madam had always been indifferent to minor matters. They simply chose to pretend they hadn't heard it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1513, Not inviting Ding Xiang had already crafted the narrative, leaving Zhou Chong and Qing Yun with the responsibility of conveying her tale to Ding Erju, Ms. Zhou, Ms. Fang, and the land officer. In her account, Ding Xiang, fueled by anger and despair, escaped the ancestral hall. In the county city, she stealthily followed a caravan heading towards the province city. Fortunately, a sizable caravan bound for Huning City, a major northern border metropolis, was in need of additional hands. Despite the reluctance of many due to the arduous journey, Ding Xiang seized the opportunity. Upon their arrival in Huning City, a fortuitous series of events led her to rescue a grateful general. Impressed by her character, the general arranged a match for her, and Ding Xiang, in turn, held admiration for him. The two eventually married in Huning City, and due to the demanding post-wedding commitments, she had not returned until now. The tale was accepted without skepticism. Ms. Zhou couldn't help but shed tears at the thought of her daughter's endured pain. Ding Erju sighed in sympathy. Witnessing their reactions, Zhou Chong and the others found some relief. Subsequently, Zhou Chong shared the story of Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian with Ms. Fang, bringing her great joy. Additionally, the general's promise to inquire about Qi and look after him earned gratitude from Miss Fong and the rest. They expressed their thanks while Qin Yun and the others modestly downplayed their role. The following morning, Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou returned, accompanied by Qin Yun, Zhou Chong, and the other land officers. They brought gifts and, in a gesture of gratitude, hosted them at their homes. Later, a lavish meal was arranged at the Shao family residence's first section, inviting the land officer and others to partake. Although some in the Ding family harbored dissatisfaction, believing the meal should be hosted at their residence, none dared to voice their objections. Yesterday, Zhou Chong, Qin Yun, and the others displayed remarkable courage. Fifth Grandpa Ding's family suffered a severe beating, leaving them unable to rise. No one dared to exploit their seniority to voice any objections. Moreover, Ding Erju and his wife maintained a close connection with the first section of the Shao family. It seemed wiser to enjoy the meal without stirring up unnecessary trouble. The Ding family reveled in their joy and pride. With Lord Shao in the Shao family and a general's wife in the Ding family, they felt well equipped to handle whatever the Shao family might assert. Throughout the meal, there was a conspicuous omission in mentioning Fifth Grandpa Ding and Fifth Grandma Ding. It wasn't that they were reluctant to share the feast, but their presence made everyone uncomfortable. Considering Fifth Grandma Ding's penchant for causing trouble, it seemed more prudent not to invite them at all. However, Miss Fong, in an attempt to prevent any appearance of callousness, instructed Yang Xiaoni to bring a substantial bowl of chicken, steamed meat, and mutton. This gesture aimed to show some consideration toward Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou, preventing villagers from perceiving them as unfeeling. Despite the severed familial ties, the fact remained that they were still biological parents. Neglecting to invite them for a meal might lead to complications. The act was framed as an expression of filial piety to elders sharing the same surname. In response to this offering, Yang Xiaoni, being straightforward, heard Fifth Grandma Ding's disdainful remarks and couldn't help but respond. "Come on, don't say that. It's not about not wanting to treat you. If you come, trouble is inevitable. Are we still able to enjoy our meal?" Fifth Grandma Ding scowled at Yang Xiaoni, considering her words frivolous. The third daughter-in-law of the Ding family couldn't help but voice her frustration. Why not be more magnanimous? This pettiness doesn't suit you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:14, Ms. Zhou is not scary, but Ding Xiangyang Xiaoni shot a defiant glare. This is meant for Fifth Grandpa Ding and Fifth Grandma Ding, and it's a substantial offering. How can you call it petty? It's none of your business. Still staring at me? Uncle Erju, Aunt Zhou, and others endured mistreatment from you in the past, right? Despite their generous nature, you're fortunate they didn't retaliate. Do you really expect them to miss you and send you food? What's going through your mind? Her words struck a nerve, causing the third daughter-in-law of the Ding family to pale, fear evident in her eyes. Recalling the slap she received the previous day, a burning sensation and ache returned to her face. Yes, she had forgotten. In the past, when Ding Erju and Madame Zhou were part of the family, they endured frequent mistreatment. The brunt of the dirty work fell on their shoulders, subjected to ridicule and deliberate difficulties. While Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou handled it well, Ding Xiang and the troublesome girl displayed a fierce temper, showing no regard for her or her sister-in-law. They even resorted to slapping them. The panic spread not only to the third daughter-in-law but also to the other brothers and sisters-in-law. Upon returning from the land officer's place the previous day, the family had engaged in a lengthy session of scolding. They intended to settle the score with Ding Erju and Ms. Zhou once Zhou Chong, Qin Yun, and the others departed. The two daughters-in-law who had been slapped nursed intense hatred, vowing to return the favor to Ms. Zhou during the commotion or risk harboring unresolved resentment. However, fear now held them back. Ding Erju and Madame Zhou weren't particularly intimidating, but Ding Xiang was a different story. What if Ding Xiang returned to settle old scores? While Ding Xiang might spare the two elderly individuals, others could find themselves in an unfortunate predicament. Following that, the entire family adopted a more restrained demeanor and refrained from venturing into Jianghu village. Even when fifth Grandma Ding expressed a desire to go, her sons and daughters-in-law went to great lengths to dissuade her, leaving the villagers puzzled. Little did they realize that this change was a direct result of Yang Xiani's unintentional remarks. Zhou Chong and the others spent 2 days in Shaoding village before bidding their farewells. Given the considerable distance to cover, a swift return would place them in late October or early November. Delaying any further would expose them to colder weather as they headed north, making the journey more challenging. Ms. Fong, anticipating their needs for the journey home, prepared ample food for them. Each member of the group received a generous red packet, and the entire family saw them off with courtesy. Anxiously awaiting news from Qi, Ms. Fong couldn't help but hope for a swift update. Reluctant to part ways, Ms. Zhou and Ding Erzhu enlisted the help of a schoolteacher to write a letter to Ding Xiang, expressing their longing for her return. Despite the uncertainty, the couple found solace in the knowledge that their daughter was alive and thriving, a source of profound joy that left no room for regrets. Once Zhou Chong departed, Ms. Fong approached Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou. Acknowledging their status as the generals-in-laws, she considered it inappropriate for them to serve as stewards for the family. Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou, however, couldn't envision a life of idleness and expressed their willingness to continue managing the farm for the first section of the family. Assuring Ms. Fong that they were not weary, they opted for a more leisurely lifestyle while awaiting Ding Xiang's return. Ms. Fong, after contemplating the situation, agreed to their arrangement. Surprisingly, the incident led to improved relations among the various families in the village. Biased opinions began to shift, recognizing that success might come to any of the previously marginalized children or grandchildren. Fifth Grandpa Ding's family served as a tangible cautionary tale, prompting a reevaluation of their attitudes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:15, Result upon their return to Huning City, Zhou Chong and the others recounted the events in Shaoding village to Ding Xiang. She smiled joyfully and expressed regret, what a pity. It would have been even more interesting if I had seen it with my own eyes. Learning of Ding Erzhu and Ms. Zhou's well-being and their unwavering support, Ding Xiang contemplated when she would go back. This realization meant that, in the couple's hearts, their daughter held greater importance than the scornful family they left behind. Anticipating the likely tantrum from her original host's grandparents after receiving the numerous gifts, Ding Xiang envisioned her father compromising. Once he acquiesced, these gifts would symbolize the final fulfillment of her filial piety. Henceforth, she planned to sever all ties and never look back, harboring no interest in encountering them again. The prospect of her original host's parents facing hardship due to the old woman's oppression no longer concerned her. Ding Xiang found solace in the fact that her father could withstand the turmoil and pressure from the elderly couple. As for Qiao Xian, Xiao Yunduan, and the others, they departed Huning City and lodged in an inn within a small town for the night. Xiao Yunduan, in consultation with Sun Bai and Sun Qian, urged them to remain vigilant on their journey to the capital. Acknowledging that the potential danger persisted until they returned to the capital, Xiao Yunduan emphasized the need to swiftly conceal all traces. By the time the capital reacted and dispatched investigators, any evidence would be elusive. While others might find safety in such actions, for Xiao Yunduan, Qiao Xian, and even Xiao Wei, this marked the beginning of a new chapter. Sun Bai, Sun Qian, and the dozens of elite guards from the East Palace remained vigilant, shielding Xiao Yunduan and Xiao Xian. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed, and everything proceeded smoothly. With another 10 days until the potential return to the capital in late September, anticipation filled the air, sparking excitement among the group. Even Xiao Xian and Xiao Yunduan found a sense of relief. One evening, they arrived at Yenzhou. The local magistrate, informed in advance, organized a banquet to welcome them. Simultaneously, the magistrate's wife arranged a gathering in the backyard, inviting local ladies to accompany them, extending a special invitation to Qiao Xian and Xiao Wei. The women concluded their festivities early, fatigued from the journey. They returned home to freshen up, and Xiao Xian, mindful of her husband's exertion, sent Li Xia and others to rest while she sought reprieve herself. Reflecting on her concerns about the strain her husband endured on the way back to the capital, Xiao Xian pondered the toll such events took. While a small town might offer respite, a state or county residence often led to grand banquets. It would be manageable if they were aware of their imminent travels the next day, but sometimes they encountered hosts eager to prolong the evening, organizing elaborate performances, and encouraging prolonged revelry. Such well-intentioned yet tiring gatherings often involve drinks, dance, and fervent wishes to keep the festivities alive until dawn. As Xiao Xian contemplated these thoughts, a sense of foreboding crept over her. Before she could discern the cause, a sudden, intense pain and dizziness overwhelmed her. Her vision darkened, and she slumped to the ground, losing consciousness. Upon regaining awareness, Xiao Xian found herself bound and gagged, a cloth stifling her cries. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:16. Unexpectedly, it had been the rival activating her superpower. Xiao Xian realized she was seated in a simple intermediate sedan chair, swiftly carried by two sedan chairmen through the forest. Four individuals led the way and covered the rear, leaving her uncertain about their destination and temporarily unable to escape. While she could control plans to attack, breaking free from the restraints on her body proved challenging. As they ascended the mountain, any attempt to use her powers to trip them risked her own fall. Despite her predicament, Xiao Xian found relief, contemplating where they might be taking her. Her primary concern, however, was for Xiao Yunduan. Aware that her disappearance would undoubtedly cause anxiety for her husband, Xiao Xian hoped he would quickly find composure. Recognizing her own lapse in vigilance, she mused on her journey. Initially cautious, she unconsciously relaxed upon reaching the relay station, assuming safety. The past 10 days had been uneventful, leading to a gradual relaxation of her guard. Moreover, both she and Sun Bai believed that Xiao Yunduan would be the target of their adversaries. After all, in everyone's perception, she was closely associated with Xiao Yunduan, making her a potential starting point for solving the perceived problem. To her surprise, she became the target instead. Xiao Xian pondered the motives behind her abduction. Were they attempting to use her as leverage to coerce Xiao Yunduan into submission? As a woman, could they genuinely believe that a man with a promising future would bow down to a woman? Questions raced through her mind. Could they not handle the situation themselves? If not, why assume Xiao Yunduan could achieve what they could not? As the sedan chair continued its journey, she heard the words, "Here we are. This is it." Hearing voices, the sedan chair jolted to a rough stop. Sensing the commotion, Xiao Xian shut her eyes, relaxed her body, and feigned unconsciousness. Despite her closed eyelids, she sensed a sudden surge of brightness and felt someone attempting to pull her out. Her eyelids twitched, and she cautiously opened her eyes, locking gazes with the man. Startled by her apparent awakening, the man halted, his sneer revealing his disdain. "Madame Xiao is awake." Xiao Xian shot him a fierce glare. The man's sneer deepened. "Come on." Seizing her arm, he forcibly guided her to stand, prompting Xiao Xian to rise unsteadily. Her hands were bound behind her, but her feet remained unrestricted. Assessing the surroundings through her powers, she realized they were situated in a remote forest, far removed from the city. They stood halfway up a concealed mountain, with a broad cave more than 10 meters behind them. Was their intent to confine her within this cave? Before she could process further, a push urged her towards the cave entrance. "Move." Complying, Xiao Xian lowered her gaze and stepped obediently into the cavern. The 6 men clad in green, supposedly guarding her, conversed among themselves with laughter, displaying an air of relaxation. They didn't take Xiao Xian seriously, viewing her merely as a feeble woman unlikely to risk fleeing into the woods. Guarding her seemed a trivial task in their eyes. Regrettably, their time and energy invested in this desolate place were futile. The oppressive atmosphere suggested an impending sense of suffocation. Once inside the cave, Xiao Xian found a spot against the wall, quietly lowering her head. Observing her subdued demeanor, one of the men glanced over and sneered, "You're so quiet. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 15:17, Kidnapped. Another person chimed in, as expected of the wife of the Primus. "She's also much bolder than others. She's very tactful." Hearing this, the others cast glances at Xiao Xian, exchanging surprised looks. Indeed, any other lady would have been terrified and tearful, yet Madame Xiao remained silent since waking up, exuding an uncanny calmness. Could it be that the wife of the Primus was truly exceptional? Listen carefully, be honest. The area within a radius of dozens of kilometers is filled with deep mountains and forests. There are ferocious beasts and countless poisonous snakes and insects. If you dare to have any thoughts of escaping, I advise you to quickly give up on that idea. Internally cursing at the irony of being lectured while bound and gagged, Xiao Xian grumbled. "You've blocked my mouth and tied me up, how do you expect me to run away? Why bother with such unnecessary warnings?" Ignoring her, the 6 individuals settled on the ground, engaging in casual conversation before succumbing to sleep. Clearly exhausted from transporting her to this remote location, the snoring of one person grated on Xiao Xian's nerves. Frustrated, she thought, can't you all be a bit more conscious of guarding a hostage? Is it wise to sleep so soundly? How little regard you have for me. Is this your idea of being non-threatening or just plain insulting? Attempting to move her arm, she quickly dismissed the idea of breaking free. Their high regard for her was evident in the flexible and professionally applied rope. If it were Ai, he might have found a way out, but for her, escape seemed impossible. All Xiao Xian could do was wait for them to remember to untie her, biding her time for future plans. The 6 of them slept deeply, unaware of the passing time. As they stirred awake, the sky was painted with the hues of sunset, signaling the approaching darkness. Surprised by their prolonged slumber, they grumbled amongst themselves and swiftly dispersed to gather firewood, kindle a fire, fetch water, and procure dry rations. Observing only 2 remaining individuals in the cave, Xiao Xian attempted to struggle against her restraints. Angrily, the 2 men scowled at her. "What are you doing?" Xiao Xian strained, her eyes wide with effort. Impatiently, one of them stepped closer and brusquely removed the cloth gagging her. "Shut up." Sighing softly, Xiao Xian pleaded, "Sir, could you untie me? I can't escape from this place. It's incredibly uncomfortable staying here all day." Glancing at her, the man considered her request. Realizing her odds of escape were slim, untying her would relieve the burden of keeping a constant watch. He sneered in response, "Behave yourself." With her hands freed, Xiao Xian massaged her bruised and bloodied wrists, inwardly sneering at their complacency. Once liberated, they could abandon hope of apprehending her. Gently flexing her legs, Xiao Xian stood up and quietly made her way out of the cave. "Stop. What do you think you're doing?" In a hushed tone, Xiao Xian addressed them, "Lord, I need to release myself." The 2 men overheard her and erupted into crude laughter. One of them teasingly remarked, "Oh, I see. But it's not safe outside. Shall I accompany you, Madame Xiao?" "Ha ha ha ha. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 15:18, Easily dealing with feigning embarrassment, Xiao Xian lowered her head and ran out. The 2 men laughed boisterously behind her, with one of them still making wretched comments. "Sigh, what a shame. What a pity." Another playfully scolded him, "Rein in your thoughts. She's the wife of the Primus and the Minister of Revenue." The person sneered, "Do I need you to tell me? Don't I know?" While they had captured the wife of an imperial court official, the wife of the Primus, they wouldn't dare harm her. Word could easily spread, and the consequences would be dire. His Highness, the Crown Prince, was already in a fierce political struggle with Lord Xiao. If Lord Xiao and his wife were killed, the blame would fall on Lord Xiao, but harming Madame Xiao would be a different matter. His Highness would be deemed shameless, leading officials to question their allegiance. Qiao Xian utilized her superpower to locate the two men collecting firewood nearby. Using a rock, she swiftly incapacitated them. Before they could raise an alarm, she silenced them with a stuffing of grass and gravel in their mouths, securely tying them up and concealing them in thick bushes. Indifferent to their fate, Qiao Xian left it to their luck. These assailants dared to ambush and capture her, and she saw no reason to be polite. Opting for leniency, she refrained from using her powers to strangle them directly with vines. Continuing her search with her superpower, Qiao Xian intercepted the two men collecting water on their way back to the cave. Knocking them out, she tied them up and discreetly concealed them in the lush grass. Easily maneuvering in her forest surroundings, Qiao Xian ensured they would wake up unaware of the events that transpired, only realizing they were ambushed and unconscious. Surveying the area, she located a spot to rest. The cave lacked cover, and she needed to wait until the two men entered the forest. While she had the option to take action openly, doing so in an exposed space would draw unnecessary attention. She refrained from revealing her superpower to anyone, not intending to let others know. As the sun gradually set in the west, the afterglow faded, and dusk descended. The mountain rocks cast long shadows, dimming the surroundings. In the cave, the two men finally sensed something amiss. The person who went outside seemed to be taking an unusually long time. Concerned, one of them speculated, did that woman manage to escape? The other, feeling uneasy, frowned. This, out in the middle of nowhere. How could she dare? While they weren't overly anxious about their comrades, assuming they might have encountered wild animals, Madame Xiao's prolonged absence unsettled them. Both men regretted their confidence, realizing that if they had foreseen this, they wouldn't have been so certain she wouldn't dare to run. Someone should have shadowed her from a distance. She might not have escaped. Perhaps she got lost? Yes. That seems the most likely explanation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 15:19, Overnight, let's go and look. Absolutely. The two hastily grabbed their weapons and left the cave. Knowing that His Highness intended to use Qiao Xian to deal with Lord Xiao, they couldn't afford anything happening to Madame Xiao now. Losing her due to their negligence would certainly lead to consequences from His Highness. Their certainty that Qiao Xian wouldn't dare to venture far left them dumbfounded, clueless about her whereabouts. They chose a direction with less difficulty and fewer trees, searching together. Regardless of their chosen path, Qiao Xian managed to elude them once again. Returning to the cave with a triumphant clap, Qiao Xian found solace in its secrecy. Equipped with bamboo mats, blankets, and pillows, she fashioned a comfortable space. While her space held the aroma of rice, noodles, and eggs, she opted for pastries and fresh fruits, avoiding further movement. The night had fallen completely, leaving any discussions for tomorrow. Considering what reasonable excuse to provide when she met him later occupied her thoughts. Tomorrow, she planned to use methods to interrogate the captives, even though she was certain it was the fourth prince's doing. Clearing any doubts seemed prudent. That night, Qiao Xian found it difficult to sleep. Firstly, worry for Xiao Yunduan consumed her, leaving her uncertain of his fate after her disappearance. Secondly, her ability to sense everything within her range made her unafraid of beasts or snakes, but only when she was awake. Falling asleep carried the risk of being attacked by a ferocious beast. Despite makeshift beds in the forest, it couldn't provide true comfort. As the long night passed and daylight returned, Qiao Xian felt relief and finally fell into a deep sleep. Upon awakening, more than an hour and a half had passed, with the sun high in the sky. The mountain breeze carried a humid mist, and the birds filled the air with their chirping, creating a refreshing atmosphere. Qiao Xian stretched, packed up her belongings, grabbed some food from her space for breakfast, and set out to find the individuals who had tied her up the previous night. Qiao Xian had scattered them in different locations, sensing their continued survival. None of them had encountered any dangerous beasts, and they were all alive. Struggling fervently, they attempted to expel the gravel, mud, grass, and leaves from their mouths, but all their efforts ended in failure. They had undoubtedly experienced an eventful night, evident from the insect bites on their faces, necks, and hands, marked by red and purple welts. Feeling a sense of satisfaction, Xiao Xian contemplated their plight. Having endured a challenging day yesterday, she felt it was time for them to taste a bit of suffering. Approaching one of them, she witnessed the fierce struggle of a man who, upon hearing the commotion, strained to lift his head. His eyes turned fierce as he intensified his struggle upon spotting Xiao Xian. Ha! Xiao Xian sneered from a distance. My helper has arrived. You deserve your misfortune. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1520, Interrogation. I have a few questions for you. Answer honestly, and you might just make it out of this alive. If you're not up for it, then we can end this right here. I can find someone else willing to cooperate. Let's test your endurance, shall we? Or do you fancy your chances at escape? The man's face contorted, attempting a mocking expression as he continued to glare at Xiao Xian. Remaining composed, Xiao Xian advised, think carefully. You've got one shot, and once it's gone, there's no turning back. There are 6 of you, and I don't need your cooperation. I may be just a woman, but cross me, and you won't get off lightly. Consider this, a few scars on your face and hands, would they attract creatures like you? Think about it. Fear replaced anger in the man's eyes as he stared at Xiao Xian, a chill running down his spine. Madame Xiao's tactics were ruthless. Xiao Xian smirked, make your decision, a simple blink will do. No lies unless you think you're cleverer than the Primus wife. The man struggled with his response. He had planned to deceive Xiao Xian, but her reputation and demeanor intimidated him. She was the wife of the powerful Primus, Lord Xiao, who had chosen her over the elder miss of the Tian family. Her audacity in publicly humiliating the 4th princess consort showcased her extraordinary courage. Facing capture the previous day, she showed no fear. It was evident her resilience surpassed ordinary people. Now, confronted with her stern words, lying seemed impossible. Bound tightly by vines, the man dreaded spending another night in the chaotic grass patch. The mere thought of enduring it was nightmarish. Madame Xiao's threat of cutting his face and hands, possibly attracting swarms of ants, sent shivers down his spine. It was too terrifying. This woman was too terrifying. He teetered on the brink of collapse, anxiously blinking, afraid that Xiao Xian might renege on her promises. Xiao Xian chuckled, extracting weeds from his mouth. The man spat out grass and stones, shaking his head, instantly feeling more at ease. To his surprise, Xiao Xian didn't immediately release him. Instead, he looked at her expectantly, eager for her questions. Anticipating her queries, he couldn't wait for her to be satisfied so that he could be freed. Xiao Xian regarded him with disdain. Is your master the 4th prince? Guiltily avoiding eye contact, the man nodded stiffly. With a cold tone, Xiao Xian pressed, who is working for you in Yenzhou? Yes, yes. Deputy Prefect. What's the purpose of confining me in this place? I don't know. His Highness only ordered us to keep you under house arrest and trap you here. He didn't provide any further instructions. I swear it's the truth. I wouldn't dare lie. Snorting, Xiao Xian didn't doubt his words. Those assigned such tasks likely lacked knowledge of the upper echelons and merely followed orders without much insight. What plans has the 4th prince made for the Yenzhou residents? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1521, Meeting Xie Jingrong here. I don't know. Xiao Xian fixed him with a cold stare, making the man's scalp prickle. I genuinely don't know. Our orders were to bring Madam here. We're kept in the dark about everything else. Seems reasonable that someone like you, toiling away at menial tasks, wouldn't be privy to much information. I'll take your word for it. Consider yourselves fortunate, the heavens are merciful. Your lives won't be forfeit today. Walking up to him, Xiao Xian produced a dagger from her spatial storage and sliced through half of the rattan. Calmly, she instructed, free yourself and put in some hard work. 2 hours should suffice. The man hadn't expected such leniency from Xiao Xian. With a glimmer of hope, he nodded vigorously. Yes, thank you, Madame Xiao. Xiao Xian sneered and moved away. The man, relieved but cautious, hurriedly started freeing himself, fearing she might change her mind and dispatch her men to finish the job. Xiao Xian unleashed her superpower, spreading it across the area. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced her head. Grunting, she clutched her temples, seeking support from a nearby tree. After a while, she sighed in relief, slowly regaining composure. She had retracted her superpower, recognizing that she had likely strained herself by using it excessively. Continued use could jeopardize her physical well-being. It became clear she needed to exercise caution and minimize superpower usage for the time being. In releasing it earlier, she hadn't reached the forest's edge, leaving her disoriented about the closest direction to Yanzhou. Xiao Xian grumbled inwardly. These people moved too swiftly, covering quite a distance on foot. However, she beamed and gazed in a specific direction. Her luck had always been on her side. Even if she hadn't found the right path, she stumbled upon someone she knew. Unexpectedly, it was Xie Jingrong. It had been 2 years since their last encounter, right? Mr. Xie, draped in white, exuded an aura of gentle elegance. A sense of familiarity washed over Xiao Xian at the sight of her old friend. Xie Jingrong, along with Xie Dong, Xie Shi, and an unfamiliar servant, stood in front of a waterfall about 15 miles away. The cascading water created a rumbling sound, and the surroundings were picturesque. Xie Jingrong stood contemplatively in front of the waterfall, seemingly there to appreciate the mountain scenery. With them in close proximity, Xiao Xian knew that the master and servant likely knew the way out. Locating them would solve her predicament. Although she couldn't use her superpowers to navigate the forest, periodic checks on Xie Jingrong's position were still within her capabilities. Guided by her superpower, Xiao Xian moved towards Xie Jingrong without hesitation, brimming with excitement. The waterfall's scenic beauty was captivating. Xie Jingrong showed no sign of immediate departure, and lunchtime was approaching. The prospect of the master and servant lingering for a meal and brief rest worked in Xiao Xian's favor. Xiao Xian's swift pace, a task that might pose difficulties for others in the dense forest, was effortlessly managed by her. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1522. Someone. The lush vegetation and entwined vines in the forest posed no obstacle for Xiao Xian. She effortlessly maneuvered through, avoiding snakes, ants, poisonous insects, and wild beasts with ease. In a mere 2 hours, Xiao Xian reached Xie Jingrong. Xie Jingrong truly came to the mountains to savor the scenery. Over the past 2 years, he had traversed numerous mountains, rivers, famed historical sites, and uncharted forests. His journey held no specific purpose, he did as he pleased. Xie Dong and Xie Shi had already set up a fire, cheerfully roasting 2 pheasants they had caught. Simultaneously, they boiled soup in a medium-sized clay jar. Unaccustomed to hunting, the two hadn't captured these pheasants. Their swiftness was notable, but hunting remained beyond their skills. Another servant, Xie Miao, had taken care of that. Unlike Xie Dong and Xie Shi, Xie Miao, also a member of the Xie family's servant staff, differed in his background. He had practiced martial arts since childhood, ranking among the most skilled among the younger guards. Due to the old Madame Xie's concerns for eldest young master's safety, she assigned Xie Miao to accompany him on his travels. Xie Miao's eyebrows raised, and he spoke in a hushed tone, "Young master, it seems someone is approaching. I'll go check." With a nod and a smile, Xie Jingrong advised, "Just don't startle them." "Understood, young master." Encounters in the wilderness were not novel for them. Woodcutters, hunters, herb gatherers, or those rushing past were common sightings. They had even come to the aid of others twice before. What they didn't expect this time was encountering a woman. Both Xia Miao and Xiao Xian were momentarily taken aback, but Xiao Xian quickly offered a friendly smile. Xia Miao froze, eyeing Xiao Xian with wariness. A rush of thoughts flooded his mind. Was she a demon, a fae, or some kind of spirit? The presence of a young single woman in such pristine condition within the wilderness was already peculiar. Her friendly smile, as if they were acquainted, only heightened the strangeness. Truth be told, he didn't recognize her at all. Observing Xia Miao's cautious reaction, Xiao Xian felt a twinge of annoyance. Despite her knowing who this man was and where Xie Jingrong could be found, he had never met her and remained oblivious to her identity. Directly asking Xie Jingrong might raise suspicions, so she refrained. The situation was indeed unusual, smiling at a stranger alone in the deep mountains and forest. Normally, when a young woman encountered a man in such a place, her instinct would be fear and a scream. Xiao Xian pondered if she had miscalculated. When she smiled, she had to feign ignorance, giving her smile a strained quality as if she were forcing it. Her semi-forced smile attempted to conceal her feigned calmness and vigilance. Big brother. Are you a hunter from the mountains or perhaps a villager from a nearby village? Xia Miao's suspicion began to waver slightly as he sensed her pretense of calmness. This was the cue for Xiao Xian to continue. I don't know how to get out of here. Xia Miao couldn't ignore the fact that the woman had something important to convey. While he wasn't eager to pry, thinking of his young master made him hesitate. Finally, he relented. Follow me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1523. Almost going wrong. The young master was compassionate. If this woman had faced persecution and lost her way in the forest, the young master would undoubtedly feel remorse if he didn't offer assistance. Surprisingly, the man changed his mind swiftly, leaving Xiao Xian pleased. She nodded gratefully. Thank you, big brother. Xia Miao shot her a brief glance and led her back. Upon Xiao Xian's arrival, Xia Dong and Xia Shi turned around instinctively, their mouths agape in shock. Equally taken aback, Xiao Xian cried out and stared at them in bewilderment. She then turned to Xie Jingrong, whose back was initially facing her, and asked tentatively, Are you young Master Xie? This time, it was Xia Miao's turn to widen his eyes. Xie Jingrong's heart skipped a beat. He swiftly turned around, confirming Xiao Xian's identity. Madame Xiao. Rushing toward her, he bombarded her with questions. What are you doing here? Where is Lord Xiao? What's going on? Xia Miao scratched his head, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Something seemed amiss. Attempting to feign distress, Xiao Xian managed to muster a thin layer of mist in her eyes. Young Master Xia, I'm so fortunate. She sighed with a mix of surprise and joy. It's a long story. Xia Jingrong invited her to sit under a tree and discuss matters. Meanwhile, he instructed Xia Dong and Xia Shi to roast meat and prepare soup. Are you hungry, Madame Xiao? Have something to eat first. Feeling a bit hungry, Xiao Xian nodded and expressed her gratitude. She then recounted her tale. Most details were straightforward, but Xiao Xian needed a plausible explanation for how she single-handedly incapacitated the 6 assailants. Consequently, she claimed to have fortuitously acquired potent knockout medicines during her time in the capital of Qingdi. Given the tumultuous journey, she kept these medicines handy for emergencies. Surprisingly, those acquired knockout medicines proved invaluable, providing the means to incapacitate the assailants and secure their escape. In the dense forest, determining the correct direction proved challenging. Xiao Xian, feeling helpless, decided to choose a direction arbitrarily. Her plan was to walk and assess the situation, opting to swim downstream if she encountered a river. As luck would have it, I never expected to encounter you, young Master Xia. My luck is truly remarkable. Xiao Xian's bright smile lifted Xie Jingrong's spirits. Madam Xiao, fret not. Let's take a break, and we'll head to Yenzhou City. Lord Xiao and the others must be anxiously awaiting us. Thank you, young master. I'm truly sorry for disrupting your peace this time. No need, Madam Xiao. I didn't have any specific plans. My whereabouts aren't a concern. Seemingly casually, Xie Jingrong asked Xiao Xian about the direction she came from. Standing, he signaled for Xie Miao to join him. Go back and find them. Take care of those people. Xie Miao was momentarily stunned. The eldest son of the Xie family wasn't a mere scholar but the heir to the family. Such a directive wasn't unusual. Yet, Xie Miao noted that it was the first time his young master had explicitly asked him to eliminate a group of individuals. He comprehended the implications behind "take care of those people." Young master, I can't leave your side. What if? There's no what if. A journey of a few miles is nothing to you. Go and return quickly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1524, asking for that. Xie Miao hesitated, ready to voice that it might not be necessary. After all, wasn't Madame Xiao already out of danger? Why resort to killing them all? Unbeknownst to him, Xie Jingrong's intention was to eliminate those individuals as a warning to the fourth prince and to prevent any potential loose talk. While Qiao Xian, as a court official's wife, was unlikely to face harm from the fourth prince's orders, assuming the fourth prince had a modicum of sense, it wasn't guaranteed that the servants wouldn't spread inappropriate rumors once they were outside. Xie Jingrong couldn't afford to let Qiao Xian's name be associated with any untoward words. To him, a few expendable servants were inconsequential when weighed against Qiao Xian's reputation. The plan was to discreetly dispose of them to ensure Qiao Xian's name remained untarnished. Having spent an entire day and night in captivity, Qiao Xian was rescued halfway through the next day. Although she was with Xie Jingrong for the entire duration, she needed some time to recover from the ordeal. It was a flawed plan, hoping that Xiao Yunduan would keep Qiao Xian's disappearance a secret, allowing for a quiet return without anyone being the wiser. Understanding his young master's temperament, Xie Miao sighed and reluctantly agreed, heading to silence those people. Once Qiao Xian departed, the man swiftly struggled free from the vines, surprising Qiao Xian with his speed. While the fourth prince's men were competent, they were no match for Qiao Xian in the forest. After breaking free, the man hurriedly sought out his companions. In no time, all 6 of them were liberated. Throughout the night, the 6 endured mosquito bites and the relentless mountain wind. Bound by the unforgiving mountain vines, their limbs and bloodlines tormented them, causing intense suffering. Gritting their teeth, their expressions contorted in ferocious curses. Enraged and battered, they harbored a burning desire to extract revenge on Qiao Xian. The ordeal had left them terrified. Simultaneously, a chill ran down their spines as they contemplated their near-death experience. Fortunately, the individuals who intervened and attacked were solely focused on rescuing Qiao Xian and didn't go as far as killing them. The realization sank in, Qiao Xian was the sole mastermind, and no one was coming to their rescue. After some time, the 6 regained their composure. Seated together, they engaged in a heated discussion, their emotions a turbulent mix of anger and fear. Perplexed, they couldn't fathom how the rescue team had arrived so swiftly, catching them completely off guard. Their predicament was a result of their own negligence and overconfidence. Convinced that no one would locate them, they had let their guard down, becoming unsuspecting victims of Qiao Xian's plot. They acknowledged that a touch more vigilance would have averted this calamity. Initially deeming the task straightforward, they had instead bungled it entirely. Their survival now hinged on the mercy of the other party. What course of action should they take? Returning in this state, they were certain that His Highness wouldn't show them any leniency. Chase her. We must pursue her. We need to reclaim her. No time to waste. Let's go, now. Agreed. Chasing Qiao Xian became imperative. Whether they could successfully retrieve her was uncertain, but at the very least, they needed to convey to His Highness that they had made every effort. Upon Xiao Xian's departure, she inadvertently left a trail of crushed grass and scattered leaves, a subtle sign that might escape ordinary notice but was sufficient for them. Little did the 6 unsuspecting individuals realize that, by giving chase, they were unwittingly tempting fate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1525. Thought Xia Miao diligently traced the signs left by Qiao Xian and soon located the group on their way back. With skill surpassing theirs, he expertly concealed himself and caught them off guard. Swiftly deploying poisonous hidden weapons, he killed 2 instantly and left 2 injured before they could recover from their initial shock. By the time the last one attempted to flee, Xia Miao swiftly caught up and dispatched him with a single strike. Glancing at the fallen 6, Xia Miao nonchalantly sheathed his sword. In the desolate mountains with few inhabitants and scant decent paths, the remains would be swiftly claimed by the voracious beasts. There was no need for him to trouble himself with cleaning up the aftermath. Unbeknownst to anyone, Qiao Xian's account to Xie Jingrong was truthful, and there was no reason to doubt her words. Worried about his young master, Xie Miao hastened his return. To his surprise, he found Madame Xiao unconscious, lying on the soft grass beneath a tree's shade. Xie Jingrong, along with Xie Dong and Xie Shi, appeared visibly concerned. Shocked, Xie Miao approached and exclaimed, "Young master." Xie Jingrong diverted his attention from Qiao Xian, casting a glance at Xie Miao. She might have fainted from shock and exhaustion. I fear she won't be fit to travel tonight. Find a suitable spot, and spend the night in the forest. Given her current state, it was uncertain when she would regain consciousness, and her tired body warranted rest. Considering this, Xie Miao agreed and instructed Xie Dong and Xie Shi to locate a suitable spot for the night. Observing Qiao Xian, Xie Jingrong felt not concern about the night ahead but a subtle sense of happiness. She was unlike any other woman he had encountered. Initially driven by curiosity, he unwittingly delved deeper into her world. The more attention he paid, the more intriguing she became, imprinting herself in his heart, an indelible mark that refused to fade. He acknowledged the wrongness of these sentiments, understanding that he shouldn't feel this way. But attempts to uproot these feelings only intensified them. Though outwardly composed, concealing his thoughts from others, he grappled with an internal turmoil. During that period, his heart churned with pain, fearing that one day he'd be unable to conceal his emotions from her, leading to an awkward confrontation. Seeking solace, he left the province, wandering in an attempt to forget. Unexpectedly, fate intervened, and their reunion unfolded dramatically under unforeseen circumstances. Only her presence, and no one else. In Xie Jingrong's heart, a whirlwind of emotions stirred. Joy, surprise, disappointment, and loneliness intertwined, creating a complex tapestry of feelings. Yet, joy predominated. This unexpected journey presented a unique opportunity to be alone with her, to observe her without any pretense. About 2 hours later, Qiao Xian stirred, awakening to the unfolding chapter of their shared journey. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible.